All right, sound off. Who didn't get raptured? Who still survived to today? This is important. This is important.
Making the mother of all omelets here, Jack. Can't spread over every egg.
We good? Nope, still going. Still going. Still here. Still here. Sign off. Sign off in chat. I need highs. I need, I don't know, something. Wiggles. Wiggles, if you will. Wiggle harder. Hi, Hippo. Still on the floor or are you on the ceiling? What's the deal here? Still here. Sound off. Sound off. Everybody's still alive. Everybody's still good. Still totally fine. I have yet to hear reports. I have yet to see any reports of absolutely unhinged shit happening. I am impressed. I am impressed, I must say. But god damn it, do we have some things to talk about? Oh, good lord. I wish I was joking. I woke up this morning, went to the bathroom, decided I was going to open TikTok on the toilet. A mistake we all make, honestly. And I saw the news. Quite literally, the first thing I saw this morning of anything outside of my own fucking bedroom was Dallas. And I don't know if anybody has seen this. I hate going straight into this stuff. Also, who wants highs? You know what? Let's ignore this for a second. Who wants highs? Just cut off his head. Don't worry about it. Of course I haven't. Yes, Europeans. What happened in Dallas? We will explain. I don't want to throw y'all directly into bad news. Hi, Prey. Hi, Queens. Hi, Melissa. Hi, Beef. Hi, Ordain. Oh my god, Ordain's slightly behaving today. Aside from going straight for quote 1000. God damn it. God damn it. Don't worry about the Snickers dick vein. Although I did hear somebody give an insult today that was, you look like you ate Snickers upside down so you can feel the vein on your tongue. I will worry. It's okay. Listen, you're British. You're fine. You'll be fine. Probably. I'm just going to assume you'll be fine. We'll live with that. We'll live with that assumption. I can be polite. I'm proud of you, Ordain. I'm proud of you. That's a hell of an insult. Yeah, I heard that earlier today and I was like, damn, I'm putting that in my back pocket. Putting that in my back pocket. Ain't no way in hell. But, all right, deal with the bad news now. Deal with the bad news that I was talking about what I woke up to in Dallas. For those of you who do not know, a certain statistic happened today, but it's much worse than usual. The American's daily statistic of what is getting shot up today was triggered this morning before I even woke up. The thing is, though, now some of this information I've heard secondhand because the news is not talking about certain parts of it. There was a shooting today at a Dallas ICE facility. Now, typically when you hear that, especially after hearing what happened in like Alvarado, Texas and stuff earlier this year, of people like storming the ICE facility to like harass and attack the actual like ICE officers. No. That is not what happened this time. Supposedly, from what I've heard, a white man took position across the street on top of a building with a long rifle. No idea what it is, no idea how big it is, no idea what it is, no idea if it's military grade, a hunting rifle, or anything like that. And he killed 2 detainees and seriously injured a third. I do not know anything about the third. If they're still alive, if they made it to the hospital, if what's going on. Seemingly, this man's intentional targets was not to shoot and kill ICE officers. It was instead to shoot and kill the detainees as they arrived at the facility. And then he checked out himself before the authorities could get to him on the roof. So that's the stage we're currently at, buddy. Okay. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Okay, that sucks, Ming. Yeah, that was the news that I literally climbed out of bed, went to the bathroom, was like, I'll open TikTok to see what happens. And the first thing that came up, of course, was a fucking ad. And then I scrolled, and then it was a live for some local news network. And I was like, okay, what's this? What? I don't usually get news networks as like the random lives that TikTok decides to feed me. And that's what it was. That's what it was. I hate it. I hate it here. Hi, Rin. How are you doing? That encourages extreme acts of violent racism. The thing is we don't know anything about the person yet. I don't know a name. I don't know any of that stuff. I mean, we could see. Let me show you. There's Dallas ICE is trending. So let's see if we can find anything through here. Oh, of course, I also did see the tweets immediately of fucking John Cornyn and Ted Cruz, of course, already pulling me thoughts and prayers shit. Oh, yes, you two. Your thoughts and prayers are totally going out to the random people that ICE is picking up in the communities you're supposed to be representing. I'm sure. I'm fucking sure. Eat ass. But yeah, the only thing we know is it was apparently a white male that opened fire. But wait. Is one of the people that were shot a man named Marwan Maruf? Marwan Maruf. Okay, hold on. They have a hashtag here called hashtag because of Marwan. Who is this? Okay. Okay, no, this is just a person that was picked up. Okay, this is a person that was picked up by ICE in Dallas. Okay, and then this is his like community members and his mosque and stuff making posts. Okay, that's probably not relevant to this. JD Vance and Christy Noam are putting out statements that ICE agents were targeted and killed, but according to sources, the white male shooter shot and killed 3 detainees at the ICE facility in Dallas, Texas, and then killed himself. What are they trying to prove? Are they? They're definitely trying to spin it, but I doubt. That was probably just the information. They were like, "There's a shooting at the Dallas ICE facility." Oh my God! People are trying to kill the ICE officers again. Sorry, force of habit. Shooting non-white detainees has racist motivations. I agree. I don't know if he's going to be like another Groyper specifically, but it's more than likely going to be another right-wing person. At this point, I'm begging for the rapture. Honestly, if the people who think that they would be raptured do in fact get raptured, I kind of hope it happens. I kind of hope it happens. Hold on, chat. I need to get that one video. I need to show you the video again. It's one of those days. Okay, where is it? I need it. I need the decommodified version. Is this the decommodified version? Where is it? Where is it? Hi, Phil. How are you doing? I think it is. But let me see. Dear Alice. Okay, here it is. The decommodified version. Even better. Verify age? How about you eat my entire fucking ass? We couldn't verify that you were an adult? Age verification. Use your ID. Take a selfie. Use your credit card. Use your email address. What the fuck? In a VPN? Even if you're 18 or older, we may not be able to accurately verify your age using your email. Your age wasn't there. Eat my entire fucking ass, YouTube. You are not getting a selfie, nor are you getting my ID or credit card. Fuck off. Nowhere will be safe from HBS. That's because they want your fucking data so that they can tie it to every single account you have. Hi, Mocha. Thank you for self-care. Self-care is brought to you by Gamer Subs. Oh. The thing is, it's not stopping me from watching the video, so I'm not going to worry about it. I am not going to worry about it even a little bit. All right, hold on a second. I do need to change the audio before we bring the screen down. Okay. Chat, are you ready for what we're going to do? Should the people who think the rapture is real actually get raptured? Oh, yeah, baby. Oh, yeah, baby. You know what time it is? Use the Dr. Breen selfie? I may do that. I may do that. To change date, then sign in, set age to 75 and switch it back? Oh my god. Yeah, usually there's a voiceover with this, but this is the decommodified version because this is a Chobani commercial. Oh, this one again? What do you mean, oh, this one again? Yes, this is a Chobani commercial. Oh, here, right, you know what? We'll give you the whole thing because it has a good message. Dear Alice, by the line. It reeks of pod futurism. I disagree.
Alice, this place is yours now.
I can understand thinking that it does, but even in it, we actively see mass transit.
It's a handful, but nothing worth doing is easy.
Different family members
The
across
land
the
is
community
more than
working on the
just dirt.
same farm to better achieve their.
If you
That's a
look
school
after
bus.
it,
That's a school bus
it
that
will
came to pick
feed
her
you
up.
forever. You're a smart one. I know you'll be okay.
Localized weather
Rain
control.
or shine.
All of these are theoretical, of course. See, there's the
Remember,
Chobani stuff.
A business is only as good as its people. So treat them well.
In this world, it's actually under mass control and panic and trade for all of this. Oh,
Our
yeah.
job is
That's
to
the thing, though. Is like,
plant seeds
you know what we
so
get to do when all the
grandkids
people who
get to
think the
enjoy
rapture is
fruits.
possible leave? We get to do this. We get to make this happen. We get to set up green energy locations, areas, wind power, temporary wind
So,
power that can be brought down in the
eat
case of
well,
storms.
And keep planting those seeds.
More community-built legislation, better urban
Because
centers.
how we eat today feeds tomorrow.
Again, this is very sci-fi. This is very, very sci-fi, but it's a goal. Solar punk should be the goal, I think. Diet Coke is still Coke. True. Very true. What is it? What do you mean the tribulation? If we didn't fuck up nuclear energy and give in to fuel companies? Yep. Which is even worse because all the examples fucking companies give for those things. Oh, that's not the right button. For the companies that basically, or the people that are like, nuclear energy is unsafe. It's really bad. We shouldn't do nuclear energy because it can go boom. And then they give examples of locations that essentially had meltdowns or problems entirely caused by mismanagement. Mismanagement. People being forced to do things they didn't know how. Walkable cities. Please give me walkable cities, dude. Please give me walkable cities. Again, though, they had what is it? AVs, just flying vehicles, basically in here. I don't think that's gonna do much for us. I don't think making AVs a thing is gonna do much. I would much rather get away and have smaller short distance, like availability transportation and mass long distance transportation. You don't want to manage it correctly? Yes, that's basically it. Like, wait, we don't want to do stuff under the regulations and safety precautions so that we don't have to check every system or some shit like that. But then that means we have to train all our, if you like don't want to do a Chernobyl, what do you mean we have to train every single one of our employees to be able to handle every other shift's responsibilities? That's not fair. That requires more time and more training payments. We're not going to do that. When they do them right, correct. Correct. What is it? What was the 6 Mile Island was also neglect. Japan was essentially a what was it? Natural disaster that they weren't prepared for. Things are safe when you do them right. What do you mean we can't cut costs on the fuel rods? I can make your microwave go boom, just give me a moment to operate it wrong. Oh, good Lord. 3 Mile Island. Did I say 6 Mile? I said 6 Mile. 6 Mile Island, or no, 6 Mile Beach, I think is the west coast of Africa, and it's actually only like 5 point something miles. Anyway. A dang tsunami? Yes, it was a tsunami and that they weren't prepared for it. Absolute horror show of running a nuke half-assed. Yep. And again, that is most, if not all of the like typical things that are like, oh, nuclear energy is bad because of X example. God, hold on. Do we even want to talk about what were they? Russia's or the USR's nuclear generators? God, do we even want to talk about those? So the USSR at one point was so desperate to get the RTGs. I'm pretty sure that's the acronym. I think that's right. Okay, I don't know why, but Opera's been fucky recently where the first letter I type and then it immediately like unselects. Yeah, radioisotope thermoelectric generators. So these RTG generators were, well, that's redundant. Radioisotope thermoelectric generator. Anyway, RTGs were used in essentially lighthouses, beacons, or any other far out rural location where electricity was not available at the time. The thing was, though, is they built them so fast and so just basically what out of the materials they had that, yeah, they pumped out energy, but they essentially degraded in a year or less, as well as they didn't really have much shielding, at least the early generations. There were some that when they were retrieved after the USSR collapsed by the Russian government, they realized some of the cheaper ones that were sent out was basically a nuclear core inside of a wooden box. And the wooden box degraded in less than 5 years. Only worries they have about nuclear energy was basically revolving around what are the byproducts and how do we dispose of them. The thing is, proper nuclear energy today doesn't have any byproducts. We've made it. We have versions of nuclear energy that you can literally just degrade into nothing. The reason we have nuclear waste now is because we're lazy. We're just fucking lazy. It's the nuclear waste that we dispose of in, what is that one mountain called? The one that they say that they're just going to fill with concrete and mark with like an overly ominous message is still useful for things. The NSC from Control, we put the rich and bad in there. So many birds with one stone. I don't want to wait 20 years. Shout out to the people who still think nuclear waste is barrels of green goo. God, I hope nobody thinks that's what it is. But hold on a second. Let me show you. Here's that. God, that is so small, but that'll have to do. Here, we're going to, oh, I never turned the music back on. Boop. All right. Screen, kids. Can I zoom in on this? A little bit. It doesn't help that much. This is what some of the RTGs would look like by the time that they were retrieved. Literally, this is already dismantled, basically. But you can see how some of these are literally just in rusted metal cages. I really do want to look into this. My state has 2 nuclear plants and we have an energy surplus. Hell yeah. Yucca Mountain. That's it. Yeah. Enough satisfactory to know how to properly dispose my nuclear waste. Don't you just throw it somewhere in Satisfactory? Isn't the whole point of Satisfactory to be hyper-capitalism and just mine an entire planet for its resources so you can send it up to the space station? I give it to dogs and throw them off cliffs? Yeah, that sounds about right for Satisfactory. I forget, isn't the end game of Satisfactory is you like build a ship with all the resources you make and then it's like a colony ship and then the ship leaves you there? I'm pretty sure. I don't know. I haven't made it to the end of the game before. But let's go back to the desk. Boop, 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 boop. All right. Don't get upset with me. No, no, no. Yeah, I mean, looking up what nuclear energy is capable of is very easy. There are like tons of reports, tons of papers you can find. And I know everybody's always like, don't use Wikipedia, don't use Wikipedia. Wikipedia is a good conglomerate of sources because people often put all their sources in the bottom so you can find what they're talking about. Also, yes, these kind of generators are still around Russia. Like, they're usually in places that have been, like, abandoned at this point, or old military outposts, or lighthouses in this case. Because some lighthouses for the northern Russian coast were either only manned by, like, a single or maybe a couple soldiers, or not manned at all, and were only essentially a light bulb sitting at the top of a pole. That leads to other more proper sources? Yes. Waste and plutonium waste, which you get from crafting the regular waste into. You can reuse it for fueling for more reactors or sell it back. Yes. Yes. Like waste, like nuclear waste or spent rods that we have are only diminished slightly. They can still be used for energy. We're just like, okay, there's a slight drop in productivity. Better go throw them in a hole. Motherfucker, what? Motherfucker, what? If you craft the plutonium rods and use them for reactors, you get plutonium waste, which you actually can't do anything with, and they'll sit there making a danger zone. That's only if you leave them as waste. There's other uses. Recycling is possible. Ugh, depleted uranium ammunition. That's just because it's heavy as fuck, and when you get that bitch moving, it'll go through just about anything. So money and risk, oh, okay, fair. It's money. It's money. They don't want to put basically don't want to put the investment into being able to have these recycling facilities for these things. Again, what now? Which part? Which part, Widow? I think the French do it. Do they do the recycling? You can make cheaper reactors with unusable waste. Yeah. Yeah. To just invest if they don't find a profit motive? Yeah, because capitalism's a goddamn mistake and having profit motives should be a goddamn thing of the past. Oh, but it's not profitable. Motherfucker, you're using up resources and chucking them in a hole. Those are finite resources. Plutonium waste that I was talking about? Yes. But uranium and plutonium can be recycled easily. You basically remove the currently still useful fissile material and then reprocess it back into additional rods, meaning that the material that comes out, what's left, is usually inert and or usable as other stuff. Can be used as other materials. Hi, Wizlock. Carnival Satisfactory server win. Is Satisfactory multiplayer? I forget Satisfactory's multiplayer. You speak big and funny words. Do I? I don't feel like I've been saying overly complicated words. Well, aside from whenever I was saying what RTGs stand for. What I come into and listen to. Nuclear energy, Widow. But yeah, using nuclear recycling, basically nuclear spent recycling, according to some of these papers, you would reduce the waste by as much as 95%. U.S. policy. The United States does not recycle spent fuel. However, the Department of Energy, the DOE, is investing in early-stage research and development of advanced recycling technologies to reduce waste and support sustainability. Are they fucking really? Considering they essentially froze the entirety of the airfield that they were building, what was it, off the coast of... Was it Connecticut? Hold on. Paused. Because it was practically finished. Revolution Wind Project, 704 megawatt offshore wind farm off the coast. Rhode Island, Massachusetts. Okay, it wasn't Connecticut. Rhode Island, Massachusetts, that was approximately 80% complete. Stoppage was ordered by the Trump administration on August 22nd, 2025, over unspecified national security concerns. Through a federal judge issued a preliminary injunction on September 22nd, allowing construction to resume. Oh, that's new. I didn't know that. That was 2 days ago. Hell yeah, dude. You should feel the warm glow of the atom. What are we, the children of the atom? What is this, Fallout? Like the Fallout before the nuke? Not necessarily like the Fallout before the nuke. It wouldn't be, like, I'm not saying, like, get a nuclear-powered car. Would be kind of cool. Would be kind of cool if we could basically contain nuclear radiation to the point where we could have things like the fucking nuclear cores that are in Fallouts. Like, who remembers the size of those nuclear? They're like, they fit in your hand. They're like a soda can size, and you can just, like, stick them in the car, and it'll power it for who knows how long. Join us in the Great Division? Oh, no. Has a large amount of wind energy. The thing is, too, even if we don't want to do nuclear energy because people think it's, like, too unsafe or some crazy shit, again, we have plenty of surface area to do green energy. Windmills have no downside. Fucking water power. We have so many rivers. Tidal power. Geothermal in certain regions. Yes, in the car? What are you hinting at, Sunstar? What are you hinting at, child? Long-term people can use the same energy source for years? I don't think fossil fuel companies should continue to exist. I think they should all burn to the ground. I don't think energy and power should be owned by a private corporation. They should belong to the people, i.e. also the government, as long as the government truly represents its people. Ours doesn't. Fun fact. It doesn't. Wind and water power, obviously, probably maybe, who knows, causes autism or something. Oh, you mean like how windmills kill birds, apparently? One day, Malvin Co. could be the leading company in open power generation. It would be interesting, but honestly, at that point, I would like go to the government and be like, hey, do you guys want to buy this company? Do y'all want to, what's the word? Nationalize this corporation? It is yours. It is yours. As long as you continue to make the right causes and allow me to sit on the board and assist in making decisions, it belongs to the people. Surplus energy can be sold to other countries that need it, or the kickbacks for the excess energy that we produce can go to the citizens to help fund other projects. Complains that there's not enough power? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Caused my autism. I charged into one as a kid thinking he was a giant. Oh, my God. Not the Don Quixote fucking reference. Oh, my God. I saw a video. Some motherfucker on TikTok tried to make the arguments that GI robots, stick with me on this, GI robots, and what was it? What's the name of that show? That DC monster group show. What was it called? I can't remember the name of the show. Regardless, the guy was making an argument that GI robots was actually a creature commandos. Thank you. Was actually a reference to Don Quixote. That GI robot was delusional in believing he saw Nazis everywhere at the same level of delusion that fucking Don Quixote thought he saw giants everywhere in the shape of windmills. And I don't know. Thank you, Kilda. That's exactly, I was like, that sounds like something a Nazi would say. Because he was right. With the fucking, like, that's not a fair comparison. I see giants everywhere. It's Marin. Thank you, MP. That's the same shit as like somebody being like, Antifa is a terrorist organization and should be, they're part of Antifa. That means they're on the left. Hard right, hard turn. Wait a minute. What did you just say? What did you just say? One more time for those of us in the back. For the Tin Man? Hell yeah, Tin Man, dude. But again, like, it's like the dude didn't even watch the show. He thought he saw Nazis everywhere because there were Nazis everywhere. Because they were. And they literally tried to convert him in one of the episodes. They tried to convince him that they were like pure-blooded American types. also had suspicions. He didn't just open fire until he had like what was straight up confirmation. It's not like he was stabbing the fucking people with lances to try and figure out if they were giants or Nazis or something. I don't know, man. It's just, I saw that and I was like, maybe there is such thing as too much media literacy, because I think this dude is like reverse fucking understanding the plots. Are these the Nazis, Captain? Oh my god. No! Deep breath. Clanker. Absolutely not. The thing is, though, with that joke with like the robots pulling the like people pulling that clanker joke went really far, really fucking fast. Like terrifyingly fast. Wait, are we the baddies? Not the hard C word. That's just too much. That's just looking for patterns where none exist. That feels like somebody who thinks they're smarter than they actually are. Which is like the person who's like, I'm the only one who sees it for what it is, and now I have to tell the masses. Dude, are you serious? Are you serious? Come on. Wait, what is this? Today at approximately 6. The bullets reportedly had anti-ice messages written on them. Motherfucker, that's a clip on the ground. That is no proof that it came from the fucking crime scene. And it's written on the bullets in pen. Blue fucking pen. I bet that motherfucker did it himself and threw it on the ground and took a picture. No, it is not a magazine. It's a fucking clip. There are 5 bullets slid into a little metal slit. It's blue so Democrat. God damn it. God damn it. Oh, good Lord, Ordain. No, listen, it was the people that like got like overboard. Oh, good Lord. People are already making the jokes too of the, if the shooter turns out to be Hispanic, quote, build the wall, Arab, ban Muslims, black, BLM or terrorist, white. We need to ask ourselves how we're as a society failing these poor troubled young men. What kind of movies, video games, and music are we making? Eat my ass. Eat my ass. Are we using a Garand? That'd be actually kind of crazy. The thing is though, even if the person had anti-ice sentiments on their bullets, they are either one, a terrible fucking shot, or they were intentionally shooting at the detainees and are trying to subvert things. Don't pet me. You can't stop me. Pet the Ordain. Pet the Ordain. Everybody, pet Ordain. Or shake him. You can also shake him. When the ironic jokes about robots becomes a replacement to masked racism. Yeah, that's a step too far. When they start pulling out shit that like, what was it? Rosa Sparks. George Droid, I think was another one. Hi, Free. Like that's pushing it too far. That's where the haha sci-fi racism is a little funny too. Then it just turns into thinly veiled actual racism. It's like, wait a minute. You can't go picking civil rights characters or civil rights people and like turning them into some other form of he-who racism. Or could only see people through the window and assaulted the detainees. Would not have window privilege. No, these were people that were coming into the facility. They were outside. He was across the street. This is a lot more about you than it does the robots. True. Wait, what the fuck? Oh God, are they already trying to blame leftists for what happened at the Dallas ICE facility, considering only detainees got hit? This is a goddamn joke. This is a fucking joke, dude. Okay, then here's again about Marwan. A pillar of Dallas's Muslim community was apparently detained by ICE this week after more than 30 years in the U.S. His arrest was followed by increased government scrutiny of his charitable work and is raising alarms among civil rights advocates. CAIR is clearly closely monitoring the situation and joins the calls for answers and accountability. No one can be targeted for their faith-based activism or charitable act service. I don't know why people would call into question somebody's charitable acts, especially if it's like donating money or donating your time to what are obviously charitable acts, especially considering a pillar of Islam is to do charitable acts whenever you can. Went on a rant about it. This is like the people that tried to raid the ICE location in LA but didn't have a plan. The person with the long rifle couldn't hit the broadside of a barn from a prone location from like 100 yards. Oh my God. Was that today? Did Andy do that today? I want to go see. Anna Markey. What do you got, Annie? Okay, this is that's a post on a certain American. That's soldiering. All right, what is this? Oh boy, a Nick Fuentes quote tweet. Huh? That doesn't make any sense, Nick. Nick Fuentes addresses the communists who only criticize Zionists. They love left-wing Jews. Quote, the problem is there is a transnational Jewish nation, not just Zionists. That makes no sense, my guy. That's not what Annie said, by the way. That's not what Annie said. That he quote tweeted. He said something else in a quote tweet to this post. Charity is communist, Islam is communist, empathy is communist, peace is communist, hope is communist, love is communist, the truth is communist. Okay, battery's dying. See y'all later. Have a good night, Wiz. Thank you for hanging out. Guy try and burn down an ICE location. I feel like I remember ICE getting in trouble because they ran from the fire and did not free the detainees. That sounds oddly familiar. Ordain screeching. But the bow said you do got to pet Ordain. All of you were obligated to pet Ordain today. Sharing your battery is also sharing is communist. You heard it first. Which unfortunately I don't think I have.
Making the mother of all omelets here, Jack. Can't fret over every egg.
Nope, I'm set. I don't have the Soviet anthem on my soundboard. I think. Hold on. That's not it. Nope. Nope. Nope.
Twice!
I forgot I had that one.
You are coping and seething. You just can't accept what you're seeing.
As you're coping and seething. It is calling and now you are molding and coping. Anyway. Oh, those are the record scratches. Like, what the fuck was that sound? Piers Morgan had a comedian on his panel that was making fun of Trump and MAGA, and the Tim Pool was there nodding to what was being said, not understanding a fucking thing. Tim Pool's a fucking idiot. He spouts nonsense, stands for nothing, and will fold to a massive amount of money to believe anything. Extends pinky while petting Ordain. Gotta be fancy. Gotta be fancy. But yeah, that was the XLR board. I have the Stream Deck one, so there's like a bunch of other shit on here. The dodgeball. Think fast, chuckle fuck. Anyway. I also have the I've never heard of Tim Pool's. Sure. So good, Jade. You don't need to know about him. He's a nobody. What else do I have here? Oh yeah. And of course, everybody's favorite. What else do I have? Oh, right. All right. All right. Oh, right. I also have Faye's theme song.
Fashionista, how do you look? Fashionista, how do you look?
I'm sorry. I just turned and I saw like something white out of the corner of my eye, and it was just Coco. She's laying on the floor next to me, and I didn't even realize she was there. A country that turned the death of a podcaster into a political rally for the president, complete with pyrotechnics and stadium music. Probably the second that before the U.S. won World War II, before the U.S. side won World War II was about where it happened. If I ever get a Snickers and it doesn't have, oh, that's my quote 1000. God damn it, Ordain, it's the second time you pulled that one up today, at least. And the U.S. has been on a, how would I call it? A fascist backslide since before World War II. We were the baseline that Nazi Germany used. We were the example. And when World War II happened, we took a step back. We were like, hold on, wait a minute. The shit we've been going with, the world is not going to like that. They're not going to like finding out that we were the ones who kind of encouraged this, here to say. So the U.S. after that took a 30-year step back ideologically to essentially hide what they were ramping up to do. Of course, Great Depression, all that jazz. Eventually, the only way to pull it out was the generally socialist ideas of FDR for the New Deal and the Reconstruction that carried out all through the years. And that was probably the best time for the US. Some people are right when they say that like 50s, 60s were roughly the best time economically. But that was almost immediately right-wing politicians wanted to dismantle that. They wanted to dismantle everything that made the middle class. Step inside, step inside. How do you... Vingate Rose, thank you for the follow. Welcome in. I think that's how you say that. May I cast spells? Absolutely, Zan. Zan Clinker, yeet. What? Also, hold on a second. Let me let Coco out. She just walked to the door. All right. Okay. You mean the uppity serfs? Yeah, pretty much. The thing was, they like to pride themselves to feed into the largest population by saying that this is what they're for. They're for whatever the majority is. In this case, they wanted to pitch and say that they were for the working people. I cast Wi-Fi that's fast until you hit send. Damn it. Yeah, the US was built on genocide, slavery, and absolutely wanted to fight to keep it. And don't let them tell you otherwise. Even Lincoln technically did not want to get rid of slaves until he realized it was going to be an issue. And the abolitionists absolutely wanted it. Manual swallowing, you're now in charge. God damn it. God damn it. But essentially, that step back from World War II and the United States political atmosphere, realizing that their extremely far right and heinous views would not fly in the post-World War II world for a while. And it took about until, you want to guess who? Do you want to guess who we get to fucking blame for this one? I give you a hint. It's R&R. This is so demoralizing to learn. Listen, that's the point. That's the we'll get to a solution or potential solution at one point. Ronnie boy, good old Reagan, baby. Ronald Reagan took the major steps in reducing the essentially more leftist policies of the United States, freeing the upper classes, aka the rich and the wealthy, to begin further exploitation of the communities that they lorded over, essentially. Since then, it has been the slow, quiet whittling down of economic regulations, workers' rights, union rights, and everything since the 70s and before under the guise of working for the working class, which the Republican Party has never done. Never. Was the topic on Bobo's Monday stream the black people that were freed by that was very limited? Correct. Correct. I'd also like to remind you how much heinous monsters the Americans that came over to the United States grew up here, and then just a couple generations later were essentially the slave owners, the people that lived around the economy that was entirely reliant on slaves. Do you know what they did after Nat Turner's rebellion? Do you know what became a systematic thing after Nat Turner's rebellion? They don't teach you this one in school. They teach you about Turner's rebellion, typically. At least I learned about it in high school. Oh, absolutely. Factories and mines being outsourced was because they could get it cheaper. The wealthy could get it cheaper in other countries where they would pay less, wouldn't have to pay benefits, wouldn't have to follow the regulations that the United States has set. And it was still cheaper than building a mine in fucking North Carolina. I remember Cassius Clay, the original, who was badass, was very anti-slave and came from a father who owned a massive slave plant. Doesn't look like anybody's going to answer the Nat Turner thing. Nat Turner led a rebellion, inevitably failed, unfortunately. And they ate him. The white slave owners ate Nat Turner. Not only did they eat Nat Turner, they built more chattel slavery places for the sole purpose of raising slaves to eat. It's called chattel slavery, not because everybody's treated, well, technically this is exactly the reason, because everybody was treated like cattle. They ate Nat Turner and then started having certain plantations where they were raised and trained to be eaten later. IRL and racist? Oh no. Yeah, but you don't survive this one, Kono. You don't survive this one. I bet, I wish there was a study on this. I bet there's a connection between the inhumanity of the American industrial slaughter complex, slaughterhouse and stuff. Again, we'll probably watch a documentary on that sometime during October, I think, because it is heinous. I'm sure that there's a direct line from those chattel farms of raising slaves to be eaten to the American industrial farming of like beef and stuff. Hi, Jay. How are you doing? Slave owners did sick and twisted shit to their slavers. They straight up used their skin to make shoes. They used infants to bait gators. Yeah. The man who essentially invented gynecology owned slaves. And at one point, I only learned this like 2 days ago. At one point, he decided that his children, well, not partially his children, but the children of his slaves did not meet his conditions. And he basically had like some like thought about what they were. And he thought the way to fix them was to take a baby just after it had been born and shove a shoemaker's awl through its head and move it around to essentially realign the shape of the baby's skull to be more like its subservient parents. You want to know what the fatality rate of this was? I'm sure you can guess. I'm sure you could guess. 100% correct, Zach. The fatality rate was 100%. And this maniac fucking did it. No less than 95. It was 100% fatal. And if you don't know what a shoemaker's awl is, I do recommend looking it up. Shoemaker's awl, which I believe is spelled A-W-L. Let me double check. Yes, that is exactly how it's spelled. Or if you can't picture it, just imagine an ice pick. Imagine an ice pick. Yeah, this man was effectively performing the most lethal version of lobotomies you can imagine. Do y'all remember the videos we've watched of like people preparing eels on cutting boards? Hi, Cap. How are you doing? With just puree the brain. It's the best way to probably visualize it is horrifyingly the way that they process eels. You put the eel on the cutting board, you jam a spike through its head, and you cut it in half. That is how you can picture this, minus the cutting the baby in half part. Not sure which is worse. Ball. When did I say ball? But again, we've gone further back than I was intending to do. We were talking about the progression to where we are today in the American political climate. Essentially, again, we spent all the way back from before the 50s. I'm trying to think of the word. Kneecapping? We'll go with kneecapping. Any leftist movement for decades. Do we even need to talk about COINTELPRO? Do we need to talk about COINTELPRO? Counterintelligence, I believe, program.
Look at you.
Sam Clinker Yeet, thank you for the follow. Welcome in. Evolution made a mistake. It's not cleaning it up. Me going back in time to yell at Tiktaalik. COINTELPRO was the program put forward, I believe, by the CIA, where they would infiltrate any, quote, subversive groups, which included like Black Panthers, Martin Luther King's movement. Mind you, that Martin Luther King essentially being killed was part of COINTELPRO. It may be FBI. Let me double check. I just can't remember which 3-letter organization it was. COINTELPRO. Counterintelligence program. It was FBI. You're right. It was FBI. Here we go. Here's the list of individuals targeted by the FBI, included feminist organizations, the Communist Party of the USA, the anti-Vietnam War organizers, activists in the civil rights and Black Power movements, e.g. Martin Luther King Jr., Malcolm X, and the Black Panther Party, student organizations such as Students for a Democratic Society and Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, environmentalist and animal rights organizations, the American Indian Movement, Chicano and Mexican American groups like the Brown Berets and the United Farm Workers, and independence movements, including Puerto Rican independence groups such as Young Lords and the Puerto Rican Socialist Party. Though the program primarily focused on organizations that were part of the broader New Left, they also targeted white supremacist groups such as the Ku Klux Klan and the National States Rights Party. Get the hell back in that water and stay there, me after time traveling. I'm from India, namaste. Well, welcome in. I think we have a couple other people from India too. Awesome life decks, but as long Marvel web series are there. I'm good watching 4 episodes of the Marvel Zombies. Is there only 4 episodes of Marvel Zombies? I thought there was more. Some of the Black Panthers targeted include Frank Hampton, Mark Clark, Asada Shakir, Geronimo Pratt, Mumia Abu Jamal, and Marshall Conway. Common tactics used by COINTELPRO were perjury, witness harassment, witness intimidation, and withholding of exculpatory evidence. So they would essentially cheat in court trials. FBI Director J. Edgar Hoover issued directives governing COINTELPRO, ordering FBI agents to expose, disrupt, discredit, miscredit, or otherwise neutralize the activities of these movements and especially their leaders. Under Hoover, the official in charge of COINTELPRO was Assistant Director William C. Sullivan. Attorney General Robert F. Kennedy personally authorized some of the programs, giving written approval for limited wiretapping of Martin Luther King's phones, quote, on a trial basis for a month or so. However, Hoover extended the clearance to his men were unshackled to look for evidence in any areas of King's life they deemed worthy. Anyway. All right. The thing was to, again, at this point, when you see modern day United States and the way that the political rights react and talk about things, I'd hate to say it, but it very much feels like I mentioned earlier that it was essentially World War II was essentially the US's political step back. And instead, we learned nothing. We learned nothing from World War II. Honestly, I'm pretty sure the only reason we got into World War II was not because of Pearl Harbor. Not even close, not even a little bit. Was Republican? Yep. Thank you for the 100 bits, though, by the way, Matt. Nothing to see here? It's fine. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. But, oh, damn it. I lost my train of thought for a second. Oh, but was instead so that they didn't look like they actually liked Nazi Germany and Italy. Even though they partnered heavily with Nazi Germany before the war. And I wish I was joking. And most people are gonna be like, "Oh, but we didn't know the atrocities that they were doing. What shenanigans they were up to, what heinous crimes unto the Lord that they were committing." Except we did. Except we knew, like the whole time, like days after they happened, they knew. We knew. There's literally published newspapers on like the Night of Long Knives, Night of Broken Glass. All of those are known. Granted, Nazi Germany did try to, what's the word? AstroTurf it by making like, saying that these ghettos were in fact like vacation resorts by like making fake media and stuff and essentially forcing them to play the parts. The USA for when you were expected to join the Germans in World War II. Yeah. Its reputation and you're falling for it. Which parts? Stay awesome, eat cheesecake or a suitable cheesecake substitute, you delectable meatball. Ooh, unforced monkey. You know, cheesecake sounds really good.
Come all, and step into the macabre halls of the Dark Carnival.
Meow, meow, you say, oh,
And
hold on,
please
snooze the ads, 3
enjoy the
seconds.
show. Well, look at you.
Welcome in, Raiders. How was your stream? Good heavens, I'm arriving. Oh my goodness. Oh. Welcome in, Raiders. How are you doing? How was VR chat? What were you up to? What trouble were you getting into? Welcome in, y'all. Those of you who don't know me, my name is Martin, the ringleader of the Dark Carnival. Typically, I play games that are dark, spooky, and terrifying. Usually the first hour, though, we like to yap about current events or anything that's fun that's going on. Currently, though, we're talking news. I'm talking a little bit of history. Of course, some of the stuff could be me talking out of my ass, so don't always take everything I say at 100% factual. All that jazz, those are your disclaimers. I try to stay as educated as I can so they can help teach other people how to recognize certain things and understand history from a broader scope, rather than just the fucking public education system, because fuck it, it's stupid. Just a good midweek yap? Hell yeah, dude. Hell yeah. But I hope you had a good stream. Were you just kind of just sitting in VR chat, yapping with chats? You are so cute. I love your design. Aw. But if you need to do any post-stream stuff, especially because you were in VR, I totally understand. Get some food, hit the bathroom, refill your water, all that jazz. Ad break is going to be in just under 4 minutes because I need to run to the bathroom, I need to refill my water, and I need to change over my laundry because I started it just before stream. Did we do something similar to the Chinese people here? Which part? Which part do you mean Chinese people? Pacing up and down, ranting and forcing them all to listen? Correct. Correct. It's over if at some point I get like a detached wireless mic as well as a chat needs their iPad before they burn down the tent again. True. We're gonna get let's do Gardic phone. Let's do Gardic phone. Let me make sure I have it ready. Oh, it broke. I don't know why it does. Oh, come on. Load, damn you. It just failed to load twice. Okay. Well, now I'm getting the rotating square. All right. How's my day been? It's been pretty good, actually. I went to the gym this morning. We talked about the shitty news that happened in Dallas this morning. Let me see. Who was the one that was saying similar to Chinese people? Oh, you mean the Japanese internments? Is that what you're talking about? To the Chinese people here? I'm not, it depends on what you mean. Chat needs their iPad before they burn the tent down again.
Well, look at you.
The Other Words game? Yes, the Other Words game. Happy Yakuza, thank you for the follow. Welcome in, y'all. We also are making the slow crawl towards partners, so if you want to hang out, it's always greatly appreciated. After the commercial break, we're probably going to stop talking modern stuff, history, and everything. We're going to check out the new Vampire the Masquerade 2 trailer, and then we're probably going to get into Resident Evil 1 shortly afterwards. Rotating squares in this carnival? Yes, rotating squares. Japanese is basically any Asian person because they would tell Chinese, Japanese, and Laotians apart. Correct.
Step inside, step inside.
Oh, old young Bob Dilly. Thank you for the follow. Are there any doors here for you to eat? No, shockingly, we don't have many doors. Well, Don't look over there. Don't look over there. That's my door. It's a nice door. If I find out you're eating it, you're getting thrown out the window. Because U.S. did it. Yes. Is that what you're asking? You're asking if the United States is going to make internment camps again? I would like to introduce you to Alligator Alcatraz. Because we are doing it again. I can eat the window? No. This is my office. You can't eat anything in here. I was gonna say, are we gonna do the thing again that we did to the Japanese? Or anybody that looked vaguely Asian that couldn't confirm their ancestry? Yes, because we are already doing that. We are already doing that in these ICE facilities. Do you have any scenery to chew on? I mean, some of the tints are made out of meat. You could probably chew on them a little bit. I'm pretty sure they'll grow back. Pretty sure. Pretty sure. Okay. Wait, what the fuck is Ryan Walters as an Oklahoma? Wait, superintendent of Oklahoma? What the fuck does that mean? Excited to announce a partnership with TPUSA to establish chapters in all Oklahoma high schools. Radical leftist teachers unions have dominated classrooms for far too long, and we're taking them back. All right, ad break. Hold on. Hold on, I got too much shit here. There we go. There we go. All right, Sean. I need to run to the bathroom, like I said, and do a couple chores. So I will be back in just a minute. Don't burn anything down, please. I beg you. I beg you. Please play iPad time. Don't burn anything down. Isn't it a propaganda factory? Of course it's not when we do it. Leftist teachers unions, my fucking ass. My fucking ass. Hey chat, you'll never guess what I found on the sitting on the top of this oven today. Or stove, sorry, stove. Stove! I found a quesadilla, dude. I found a quesadilla! With vegetables and meats and cheeses. Oh. Fishing! Bill? Are you trying to say the crab is Bill? All right. Real quick, let me go find... I need to go find the newest trailer for the new World of Darkness trailer, the Bono game. All right. Oh, goodness. All right, let's put this away really quick. Boop. Chat. Oh, what the hell? There we go. There we go. It's new VTM Bloodline trailer time. I'd say we're going back to unions equals communism path. Well, that's what they've been trying to say this whole time. I don't know. Yes, Hollow, I have. We can watch it after this so we can show other people. All right.
That'd explain it. Banu Hakim.
Clan Banu Hakim prides itself in matters of principle.
Wait, I
Some
love
still
that
call you
fit.
assassins, but Nico's quick to educate the foolish.
This is my shop. It is where the mortals come to make debts they cannot repay.
Oh?
See that vase over there, for example. It belonged to a man who promised to visit his sick mother and did not. So I ripped out his spleen.
What?
Some people, some call me the Nomad.
How serendipitously the chips do fall.
Okay, that's a little
And
extreme
like
for
Banu
Banu Hakim
To arrive
justice.
so aromatically fresh from slaughter.
A blade cuts.
Yes, this is the new Bloodlines.
A blade makes no judgment.
Wait.
Blade cuts. A blade.
That was their hands? That's fucking sick. I'm playing Banu Hakim.
No
That's it. First playthrough's gonna be Banu Hakim.
But the wielder.
There is no way around death. Only through it.
I hadn't taken the judges to be such connoisseurs. You Banu
Why is she
are always
crawling?
so hush. Rigid.
It is often the case that I find stories of people who
Wait.
have
It
is often the case that I
Okay, so
find
this is-
stories of
Track down a deal with Jonathan. Optional, don't break the masquerade. Optional, they say. Okay, hold on. So, wait, there's blood resonance markers. Interesting. Clan contact, side quest, main quest. Those are 2 main quests on this one screen. 4 side quests, at least maybe a 5th right here behind the thing. I mean, there's all these collectibles up here. That's crazy. I'm so excited, dude.
transgressed. I bring them to justice when I can, but this is an unjust city.
Hand over your wallet, quick. Come on.
There is only so much time.
Your flesh is disgraceful.
Fire truck. Look at that man run through those boxes. I remember seeing this trailer on TikTok and everybody was like, it's gonna burn my phone it's gonna turn my phone into a fireball. That also shows that they have different reactions to different people. The normal guy shows up and they want to fight. The police girl shows up and they hide their weapons. See, there's the vampire guy again. Also, did that... I love him. I love him.
This traffic's still
People don't know where it comes from because apparently Sony also posted the trailer. Apparently Sony posted the trailer on their official channel. So, and right now we don't know if it's going to be on Steam, if it's going to be a mobile game, if it's going to be on PlayStation. I doubt it's going to be a PlayStation exclusive.
Cap, are you there?
Hello?
Are you talking to me or hosting a block party?
Oh, it's Rabbit Girl.
I found him, 6th floor, middle room facing south. But next time, I'm done playing the delivery guy.
Why
Did
are
you
we
cover
Venom?
Deadline?
There's no explanation for this.
Look at the time. What's taking you so long?
Huh? I'm already skipping red lights as it is.
The thing too is he's very normal, which I think is the funniest
Dipping
part.
in chill, or I'd be robbing all their takeout. Forget it. Just make sure you don't get caught.
Chill.
Which is
I'm almost
crazy.
there.
Wait, is that
I
Anna?
won't get pinched.
Wait a minute, go back. Hi, buddy.
There. I won't get pinched.
Get caught.
That billboard on the sign way back there, it looks like fucking Anna. Which is hilarious. Anyway.
Chill. I'm almost there.
Because we look cool, I suppose. I want an explanation in the story, and I hope I get one. Hey, buddy. Hands into squeeging.
Hey! Cap? Cap!
He's straight up fucking Venom. I'm so confused. We can find that they're like their own little organization. Now register. Pre-register now. Footage captured on PC. Oh, it's NetEase. It's NetEase. All right, hold on. Let's go check that out real quick. I'm closing it just in case. AnantoGame.com. Okay. Hold on. What happens if I pre-register? Email. Okay, I can do that. I almost just misspelled my own email. Okay, yeah. No newsletter, pretty please. Okay. Let's see what we got here. Bring it back. Boom. Homepage. Do we have Captain? Wait, you just call him Captain? Harried Captain from the ACD Task Force. Actually, let's hold up. Let's skip all that. We're here to unwind and see what kind of fun we can get up to after all. So what if the ACD is crumbling? We've got gangs of musical groupies breathing down our necks. Any decent plan should be able to accommodate a few changes. These are the characters, aren't they? Wait. Taffy? I'm gonna put Denton on. Enjoy your time, Vapor. All right, let's bring this back. Let's bring the music back. Sony's involved. That explains why they were able to steal the Spider-Man assets for web slinging. I suppose. I don't know if they're exactly the same. They're very similar. They're very similar. Richie? Why does she have horns? Also, look at the gloves. The giant ass zippers. The fucking palder. That's so funny. Seymour. His name is Seymour. Oh, you're right. You're right. I just muted it from going really loud earlier. That's my bad. I'm sorry, Ford. I'm sorry. Okay, so it looks like we have 11 million pre-registrations already. Damn. Yeah, so that looks like it's the main group, but whenever they showed the interface here, they showed the interface. Hold on, pause real quick. It was before this. There's the car. That is 6 characters. So that's the wolf girl we saw on the beach with the baseball bats. That's one girl we saw getting dragged around by Taffy. That's the police girl. And then Seymour's down there. But then, where is, right here. There's even more characters over here. And then I guess like these other bulbs that are around are going to be different other characters. The ones that just like don't have faces in them and are just a silhouette. All right. Tell me how to turn up the jiggle physics. No, not yet. The game's not out yet. It's not out yet, Ford. I don't think there's a date either, though. Oh, this was the PlayStation channel. I thought it was on their personal channel. Oh, well. Yeah, but I don't think there's a date. I'm almost certain there isn't a date. Also, this is me scrolling down. This is what the channel's doing when I scroll. Huh. PlayStation 5, PC, Android, Apple, and I don't know what this is. Is that Google? Is that Google Play icon and more? Okay, so we'll at least get it on practically everything. Yeah, it's the thing is, I think this game has also been worked on. Okay, so here's the teaser trailer. When did this come out? Um, 2024. No, 2024, November 2024. So it's been 11 months since teaser trailer, and then we get a gameplay trailer. That's not bad. That's really not bad in comparison to like other companies. That's fine though. We'll probably get it in the next couple years. I bet we'll get it before GTA 6. Who wants to place money on that one with me? Scope. Wait. Did they make a fake? Elevate your experience. Scan the QR code on your phone. They made a promo social media app called Scope. September 22nd, 2025. September 22nd, September 23rd. September 23rd. So maybe they'll do like leaks and stuff here. I'm not going to like join it or do anything. I would put $5 down in that pool. I bet it'll come out before GTA. I bet it will. All right, kids. We ready for Resident Evil? So it's GTA, Watch Dogs, Spider-Man, Genshin type characters. Any more we need to tack onto this? We said Naughty Dog, said Spider-Man. What else could it be? I'm gonna go back and look at the comments on the YouTube video because I bet there's other people that are also like, is there anyone else we're missing? Oh my god. Ah, yes. Grand Zenless Spider 4 Sleeping Row. So Saints Row, is that what it is? Finally, we have it. The game. Hi, Becca. Welcome. Becca Redfield. Becca as in Rebecca, and then you're slapping Redfield on it? Cyberpunk, maybe? It does seem a little futuristic-y. How about we... Yes! I can't believe we got video game 2. GTA 5, Spider-Man, Watch Dogs, and Sleeping Dogs all mixed into one. Okay, yeah, it seems to be about like all of the... Yeah, seems to be all of the things. Chat, I may have fucked up. My tummy hurts. Did motherfucking Homeland Security post a gotta catch 'em all video with the Pokemon theme? Why are they taking pictures of people's faces? Smells like a lawsuit right there. Almost certainly. Almost certainly. Heart rate monitor? All right, so put it on. Hold your horses. I was just getting comfortable too. Sorry, I just scrolled down before I closed the tab. And I saw it and I was like, hello? That's insane. We live in hell. We live in hell. The rapture happened decades ago. We're in hell. This has in fact been hell the entire time. Oh my goodness. All right, let me get the what's it called? Pulsoid up and running. Yes, excellent. Magical Girl Game Key Magical Girl Co-op Action RPG. Why? Wait. Why am I being sent? What the hell is Starlight Revolver? And why did they give me a key with it? Who are you? It's a 1 to 4 person online co-op action roguelite. In a vibrant anime world, play as magical heroes, fight through dreamlike biomes, and discover new challenges every one. One of the top most played demos is at Steam Next Fest. And they gave me a key. Okay. Huh. A Scofield reference Bible? Yeah, made by John Darby. All right. Wait. I'm sorry. Did Turkey fire missiles? Did Turkey fire missiles when fucking Russia broke their airspace? Wait, that's hilarious. We'll follow in accordance with international law by bringing our planes to intercept them and move them out of not their airspace. Turkey, yeet! Oh my god. Okay, let me put this shit away before I keep getting distracted. Wait, I got one of those. Thousands of Africans looking up and shouting at the sky, claiming to see Jesus is going viral due to viewers claiming that these people were screaming with joy because they believe the rapture has just started. And then I got the note post. This video has been uploaded in August and is a regular practice by Christians in Uganda where people go pray on the Calvary Hill in Mirama. Helpful. Yes. Sources. Easy. Directly addresses claims. Submits. People are fucking insane, dude. People are fucking insane! Alright. Resident Evil time, baby. Let me go change the category. Yeah, it's 2014 one. 2014 version, please and thank you. Shot in a couple of Russian jets in 2015 for violating airspace back in 2050. They warned them like 5 times. Don't do it. Don't do it. I'm touching your airspace. And here I sit, unraptured. Listen, I will continue to be unraptured for probably as long as I live. Oh, I almost clicked the fucking, what was it? Reset button again. All right. Resident Evil, where are we? Where are you, game? Here you are. We are playing Resident Evil 1 Remake. I'm about to change the source, so give me just a second. Please don't crash. Please don't crash. I know, what is it? What was my... Clip Studio wasn't working earlier. Please don't also crash Resident Evil. Please. Pretty please. Touching airspace? Oh my. It's literally just a black screen. So I don't know if it's capturing it properly or... Oh, I'm also lagging. Hello, Resident Evil? Resident Evil, hello? Close game? Reopen? Close? End task? Pillow method it is! I got a notification for 75 straight here, my longest by far, but I can't redeem it because they aren't showing it anymore. What? Try refreshing the page. Refreshing the page may help. Also, did y'all hear about the fucking ad blocker thing that's apparently been going around? That apparently Twitch is blocking people that use ad blockers from counting as viewers? I don't know why that just came to mind. Because they're gonna get their shit rocked? Be funny. It would be funny. How many times can we issue Article 4? Hold on, I'm trying to reopen the game to see if it'll work. Don't touch anything. We're gonna have to do the old game's opening. Don't touch anything. Don't touch nothing. George A. Romero's Resident Evil movie that almost got made from Paul W. S. Anderson came in and stole the project from him? What? Firefox mobile? Gotcha. I don't know how well the mobile, I don't know how the mobile does watch streaks. I really don't. Touches something? Keyshawn. Keyshawn, the game's not loading now. Again, it's just a black screen. Why? Why are you doing this to me? CPU's at 1.1%. You're fine.
What's your pleasure? What's your fear?
I still don't like that. I need to come up with a better line for that one. Hi, Lorano. How are you doing? 22 months? Jesus. Or not that sure that Twitch complains to me about it. Links to the guide to pause them on Twitch. Completely ignores that they're paused. Ugh. Yeah. Over 70, but it doesn't show up on mobile for me. Only PC. Oh. If you touch European airspace, missiles. If you touch America's boats, you get the sun dropped on you twice. That is not inherently true. It happened once. It happened once. Because do you want to know the next time that somebody touched our boat was? Do we need to talk about the USS Liberty? Do we need to talk about the USS Liberty? Japan did a hell of a lot more than touch boats. True. Who knows what the USS Liberty is? Why won't you open, game? It's literally just a black screen. Am I gonna have to... Here, let me do in task. Close Steam. Resident Evil Remake. Resident Evil 1 Remake. Which part? Which part, Vapor? I haven't even mentioned any. I was gonna say, do y'all know the USS Liberty or not? Complain like, no shit, I have it installed. You're accept. Stop fishing for more. Yeah, I'm trying to open it through Steam. No, the USS Liberty was a ship in the, basically, was it Mediterranean Sea? I think it was Mediterranean Sea. That was, bombed by Israel jets. And when they reached up the chain of command to ask if they could fire back, they were told no. They were told no, they could not fire back. And the USS Liberty was sunk where it sat. In short, that is the very short version of that. If Poland wastes Asuka, I'm buying myself a nice drink. Oh, wait, is that a? Not the U.S. Liberty, the USS Liberty, a ship. Again,
A lovely gift from the beauty up
Oh,
front.
Weasel, thank you for the 40 bits. Why won't you? Is that a hype train? I mean, we are getting close to the next 25. If whoever gets 175, gets the mark for 175, gets to pick me to record a copy pasta right here, right now. But again, why won't you load? Here, I can.
Lovely gift from the beauty up front.
Thank you for the 100 bits. Here, I can turn on, like, this is what I'm seeing. Like, you can even see the bar up there. See, I played in windowed mode because it's fucky if I don't. This is all I got. This is all I got. We may not be able to play Resident Evil today. Is there something wrong with my computer? Go into properties, compatibility, and disable full screen optimizations? Okay, hold on. Let me kill it. In task. Hi, Steam. All right, we'll go back to the chatting screen just so that we're not just sitting here waiting for it to work. Okay, let me see here. Resident Evil game files. Oh, where are they? Local files. Looking for bhd.exe. Right click, properties compatibility.
What's your pleasure? What's your fear?
More options. Properties. Compatibility. Hold on a second.
What's your pleasure? What's your fear?
Disable full screen optimizations. Oh, check disable full screen optimizations. Interesting. Okay. That's the first time I've had this issue, so let's see if it works. Also, who the fuck gave 5 subs? Weasel gave 1, and then somebody gifted 5. To Furnace. Ooh. Ooh, Selwyn got one of those 5. Hell yeah. And Woozer. Oh, shit. Sounds like Alistair. It's supposed to sound kind of like Barker over an old carnival radio. Pots Champ, Big 5. Oh, that's right. Somebody did. Whoever the anonymous person is the one who gifted over the 75 mark. But unless you out yourself, then you don't get to pick the Again, it's still black. It's still a black screen. Huh. Minimize, maximize, minimize, maximize, minimize, maximize. A mod on Discord? A mod? I don't even know why it's doing it. This is like, what, our 6th session? Did you update the OS recently? I don't think so. I didn't have an update last night or the night before, at least. Not on my current memory. Whoever you are, yeah, Boozer, enjoy your sub, bud. It's okay. If this doesn't work, if for whatever reason it won't open, you're in task again. Let me check something else real quick. Let's bring back... Actually, I think I still have it open. Nope, that's actually my photo folder. Do this, do this. Local files. Properties. Property. Compatibility. Reduce color mode. Run this program as administrator. Did somebody just get home? I just heard the back door open. To the late Jim Henson? Jim Henson's... Is that what you said? The late? He's dead, right? All right, let's try this one more time. One more time. If not, don't worry. We have other games to play. We have other games to play. The stream's going to be... No. I don't know. It depends. 30 years? I didn't think it was that long ago. Damn. Also, chat, if you forgot, if we hit 250, oh, that reminds me. Hold on. We should do this. Goals. That would be useful if we had our goals list, and then I can pin it. Because we are kind of getting to the end of the month. So we're kind of getting to the point where it's where shit starts. It's still black. It is still a black screen. God damn it. Why? Is there something going on with my PC that's just like nice, fashionable goals? True. We also do have the random bounty that's actually going to continue through this month. At some point, if we ever hit 1,000 consecutive subs, I will eat Surströmming on stream. Okay, yeah, this is not working. 250 subs though, we will play Hello Kitty Island Adventure again. And Queens is working on a PNG of Sheep Go Round. Send me the mod. Okay, let's see. Yoink. Accept friend request. Remaster black screen fix. Fails to load on startup and gets stuck in a black screen after Capcom. We didn't even get the Capcom logo. But okay. Manual downloads. Slow download. Fuck you. I have to log in? I'm not... Fuck. I don't think I even have Do I have a
What's
Nexus
your
mod?
pleasure? What's your fear?
Why was that pitched up? That was so weird. Yeah, I don't have a Nexus mod account and I'm not making one. I do not have a Nexus mod and I'm not making one. Sunstar?
What's your
Corrosive? Holy
pleasure?
shit.
What's your fear?
You guys. All right, we did also pass another 10 mark. So who was 10 mark? Sunstar? Sunstar, are you going to make me work out? Are you going to make me work out, Sunstar? All right. Hold on. Let me check something really quick. Let's pick a game. Let's see if this game will load up. Let's try and load up Dead by Daylight. Loading,
What's
loading,
your
loading.
pleasure? What's your fear?
Hi, Hollow. Thank you for another gifted sub. Holy shit, you guys. Why do you ask me these questions? Okay, that's fine. Because you passed the goal. You're the one who passed the goal, so I have to ask. If you're confused, then we just skip it. Sunstar's a good mod. Sunstar is both a good and extremely active mod. Is really nice to me and helps me keep stuff stable. Gives subs. And then never makes me do the rewards for it. Okay, Dead by Daylight's working totally fine. How many things have we skipped because of that? A lot. Sarushi. Yeah, Dead by Daylight seems to be working fine. Connecting servers. Conservatives looking at Africa. Oh my god. New privacy policy. I can't scroll. Why can't I scroll? Oh, it's lagging. Hello? Imagine playing DVD disgusting. Jane, you have thousands of hours on top of the amount of time that I have in Dead by Daylight. I would like to play Dead by Daylight more, but I haven't been invited to play with anybody in literally years. I literally can't scroll, though. The animation's still playing in the background, so it's not crashed. What the fuck? Is it misaligned? Is that what it is? I think it is misaligned. Because when I hovered over the decline button, the accept button is what lights up. Yeah, I think it's misaligned. I think for some reason it's loaded up with the wrong resolution. Love but lurk. Thank you, Snow. I only have 1,400 hours. All right, hold on. It's still doing a bunch of loading, and then I'll be able to check the settings. Display drivers? Maybe. I did update graphics like a week ago. Yeah, it's like shifted to the... No, I don't want to cancel. I want to... Oh my god, I can't even move my mouse far enough to be able to click the settings button. Here, close the game. Right click. Let me do a thing real quick. Properties. Steam properties. Launch options. Oh, that seems fine. I was looking to see if I maybe needed to force it to load in 920 by 1080. But let's see. Let's try reopening it. You can hit misalignment again, hit Alt-Enter. Oh, interesting. Okay. I have 486 hours in Dead by Daylight. Okay, let's see. Loading it up again. So what does Alt-Enter do? Does it just like force it to fit to the monitor? I've never known Alt-Enter to do anything except like... Is it Alt-Enter that does the toggles window mode? Gotcha. Ooh, interesting. Is that not... Wait, wouldn't that be...
What's your pleasure? What's your fear?
Mister, thank you for gifting a sub to Hectic. Holy shit, dude. Oh, it wasn't enough for the hype train. Damn it. Damn it. Oh, no, it was. That is the level 4 complete. Okay, I was confused by the waves. I thought it was saying it was over. Next. Oh my god. Okay. Use that alt enter. Okay. Give me a second. Graphics. Turn you down to high. Windowed full screen. Keep. Okay, now it's working. Yeah, maybe it has something to do with my drivers or something. That's like really flubbed up right now. Ooh. Squidgy sounds, squidgy sounds, squidgy sounds. Claim. Claim. All right. Got so frustrated she went from merry-go-round to merry-go valley. I have no idea what you're talking about. Or I will cry the Middle. Okay, I'm self-caring, I'm self-caring. Hi, Willow. No, Willow, the thing is it's not working. Here, let's try this. We'll try opening it one more time. Also, Trine, you're really smart. Thank you for the help. Arch Linux, is that an elder god? Oh, no. Oh, no. I'm be so confused with Arch Linux. I don't want to touch Linux because I'm too stupid for Linux. Like, what even? What are you on about? It's Resident Evil hasn't hurt Mirrored enough. Yeah, and now it won't open, which I guess is this black screen issue. Should I try uninstalling the game and reinstalling it? The thing is, too, is if I hit the X in the corner to try and close it, it doesn't do anything. I specifically have to go into task it. Okay, yeah, that's a good idea. Properties. No. Verify integrity. Yeah, we were hoping to finish it today because we have to go to the cabin again. Unplug it and plug it back in. I don't want to turn stream off and back on. Doing that sucks. Then give it a whirl. I'm pretty sure they are. I hope they are by default. Oh, it's an 18 gig download. I thought it was smaller than that for some reason. My internet is so slow that if I try to download an 18 gig game for stream, it's not going to finish downloading for like an hour and a half. At least. At least. All 5,288 files confirmed. Okay. Play. It's an older game that's unstable. I'm just surprised we made it through like 5+ sessions before we ran into what is apparently a very common issue. Oh, goodness. It needs the 1 terabyte per second internet. We have the 1 gig internet. The thing is, I have no wires. I have no ports in here. And the modem, the Wi-Fi modem, is in the center of the house, which I am at the very edge of. And when I say very edge of, chat, I mean the very edge. If I get up and go to the bathroom and I want to scroll my phone, I lose Wi-Fi connection. My phone at times will decide being on 2 bars of signal is better than my Wi-Fi connection while I'm sitting on the toilet, and it'll just disconnect. I've tried it, Trine. I bought a Wi-Fi booster and I put it as close as I could to try and boost the best signal I possibly could to the computer, and it was literally less stable than just connecting to the modem itself. The new Carnival tent is going to have all the Ethernets and stuff. I hope so. If it doesn't, I hope we can like install it. It may take a little while, but I'm hoping we can install internet cables in honestly, probably every single room. If not every single one, most of them. Again, we still have the black screen. It's still the black screen.
Step inside, step inside.
Oh, Falkis, thank you for the follow. Welcome in. How are you doing? All right, we need to figure out something else to do, chat. Is this the world telling us to do a just chatting day again? Do we just keep just chatting? Are we just catting today? Or hype train success. Yippee! What do we get? Oh, I got the high hand. The one that they keep showing up top. Yippee! Just yapping? Always, baby. Always. Because we can always do just yapping. We could do Deck of Haunts. I have Static Dread. I did get Static Dread a couple days ago. I have that Bloodlines 1 downloaded, but I don't know if we are going to play that just yet. I think I'm waiting for October to start. Hello Kitty Island Adventure. I do have Goblin Cleanup. We haven't touched Goblin Cleanup yet. What else is there? Demons told me to make this game. Deadlock. And unfortunately, chat, I'm going to Goblin D's Nuts. I have a game for you to play. What is that? Goblin Putty Please? We will play it at some point. The thing is, it's also a multiplayer game. And we could play it single player, but I kind of want to put a group together. I need to do more collabs. I want to do more collabs. I miss playing games with friends. Now, most of the time, I'm just like doing solo stuff. Did I scare everyone away? Am I that scary? Am I that terrifying, chat? Am I? I don't think I'm that scary. Orderly Havoc, if you haven't played it. Ooh. Yeah, thank you, Volkis.
Step inside, step inside.
Send the link? Oh no, what have you sent me? What have you sent me? Hold on a second. Oh. The thing is, I've spent... Oh, that didn't open on Steam. That opened in my browser. Let's see. Time management game where you play as a crazed, obsessive man who must keep everything in order, complete all your chores before you stress out or something uncanny strikes. That is literally just me playing Water Park Sim yesterday. Is that the same house from... $8? I really don't have any more money to spend on games until the next payday, because the ones I've listed I've bought recently, including just recently. I sent game. What do you mean you sent game? What do you mean you sent game, Jane? Where's your fucking shirt? Oh, wait, wasn't this just the banner or something that I got on Dead by Daylight? It has your face. Now it wants your life. Hide and seek and try to kill your clone. It is deceptively simple first-person horror roguelike. Roguelite. Oh, it's Pixel. You hold a mirror to figure out yourself? Wait, that's crazy. It seems interesting, at least. But again, I have no shmoney to currently buy games because all the budget for games has already gone towards what I want, what I can get for now. Please do gentle mods. Meanwhile, auto mod. I suppose that's true. That's it. I'm sending you $8. No! Add me on Steam? Okay, I'm sorry. I'll get you my friend code. The thing is, I think don't you also have to wait like a couple days after you friend somebody? I'm pretty sure you do, right? It's like, is it 48 hours or 72 hours? What about Silksong? I do not have wait, do I have Silksong downloaded? I do not have Silksong downloaded. Oh, I didn't change the category back, did I? Hold on. Resident Evil refused to open the door. I am struggling to type today. What the hell? All right. Yeah, I was gonna say, you can't send gifts immediately. Listen, if I get a game that is gifted to me, I am more likely to play it. Especially if it came right off my wish list. I like games. My wish list is huge too. But yeah, I got Static Dread recently. I know I bought Static Dread and something else. Was it Goblin Cleanup? I think I got Static Dread and Goblin Cleanup at the same time. And I was like, well, that's it. That's the last game I'm getting for this next at least month. Honestly, I probably have enough games to fill October all the way through, considering at least the first 2/3 is going to be Bloodlines 1. And then Bloodlines 2 comes out on the 21st. I've added you. Perfect. Let me make sure I accept it. Look at that creature. Look at that creature. My stomach hurts. My tummy hurts. All right. Then let me at least make sure I have another browser open so I don't have to go hunting for it later. I thought VTubers just got games bought for them. No, I get a gifted game like very rarely. And really, more often than not, the game that I'm gifted is not from my wish list. It's more like a random game that somebody was like, I think you'll like this game. And I'm like, I've never heard of this game. Sit-ups. Oh no. I think too for the sit-ups, we're gonna swap to different core workouts. Because sit-ups are not like that great for the core. So I think I'm gonna do leg raises this time. Oh. Also, I don't know if you hear the door getting thumped against. That's Coco. That would be Coco leaning on the door over and over. You're in the Smokies. Are you in Pigeon Forge? Answer the question. Answer the question. Are you in Pigeon Forge? Gatlinburg. You getting pancakes? Have you gotten pancakes yet? Are you going to get pancakes? Dog be doing dog stuff? Yeah, she's a goofball. Why did Palm post a meme that is Pomano of the pool? What is your wisdom? You can stop hiccups by fingering your butthole. What? Hold on. Just Palm ... Oh no. Oh no. My pancake's molded? What do you mean your pancake's molded? Immediate gift? Oh my, wait, you can? It lets you immediately gift? Oh god, it did. Okay, accept gift. Here, what I don't think I'm gonna be able to play it today, but oh, it's less than a gig. I could download this like almost instantly, probably. The thing is, too, is I'm also down to less than 2,000 gigabytes on my drive. So, well, I gotta test it out. No! How could you? All right, let me do these leg raises really quick. Ugh. I think I'm gonna do this with my feet facing the door. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Hold it. Hold it a little longer. Okay. All right. Now that you mention it, what do you mean now that I mention it? They say that you can get rid of hiccups by scaring or surprising yourself. That qualifies more than a surprise bum poke. Oh my god. Yeah, I just got some hiccups, Doc. I don't like where this is going. Yes, I had pancakes today. Hell yeah. You should go rafting. You should go rafting is what you need to do. Or fishing. Fishing or rafting. Either or. They're both great. They're both great in the Smokies. Oh my goodness. All right. Whew. Jesus. I just saw the Homeland Security video again. I hate it. I hate it here. This is hell. This is hell. I'm gonna keep saying that. Okay. So we do inboard engineer. Oh shit, we got 20 seconds until the ad break already. I feel like we just had the ad break. But okay. Okay, if you say so. Fuck no, last time I went rafting, it was fucking terrible. No. I don't mean like white water rafting. I mean like tubing. Like you get in a tube and you just float down the river. All right, okay, it's still working. Good. Oh yeah, yes it is, Trine. You are correct. It is absolutely going to get worse before it gets better. 100%. And that fucking sucks. I'm sorry. I just saw I just scrolled down and I saw fucking Crimbo's old picture of where he edited himself to look like his VTuber model. And he definitely just looks like one of the scrungliest, like, thumb people from... Do y'all remember those old, like, remaking of movies, but they were thumbs? Like the Star Wars, the Thumb Wars? Because that's what it fucking looks like. God damn it. God damn it, dude. I was not ready for that. Especially with his big purple lips. That was just Crimbo. I just scrolled down and saw Crimbo. Damn. Ooh. Sorry, I just found an artist that is apparently doing Skeb style stuff for September and October of spooky Halloweeny-esque Skeb things. But I can't afford it. No art. No art. I just
pleasure, what you fear.
I just spent some of the money for games to have on stream and then also for the emotes that Ordain got for the, what was it, the 50? I think it was the 50. But we hit 150 twice. And the first time nobody wanted to redeem it. So then Ordain redeemed it the next time. So wait, what the fuck? Is she holding a gun to a plushie? No, that's a controller. Never mind. I was like, the painted video was grainy, so it looked like this VTuber was holding a plushie of that dragon trainer from the like, what is it? The last gen, not Scarlet and Violet, but the one before it. A Pokemon, and the controller looked like a blue pistol held to the plushie's head. Isn't Crimbo another word for Christmas? Not in this case, it's Krimbo. But I feel bad that we weren't able to get maybe I try opening Resident Evil again. You know what? You know the definition of insanity is trying the same thing over and over. Expecting different things, different results. Huh. Oh, hold on a second. Soul Calibur, the year of our Lord. My goodness. Also, why do I have a notification? Oh, it's from the hype train. Okay. Yeah, they started giving you notifications now for, what was it? Oh, good Lord. But yeah, they started giving notifications now whenever you get an emote from somewhere. Which reminded me, I got an emote. I got a message that said I got an emote. Is it show off or something? No. Damn it. I wish I still had that notification so I could figure out which one it was. It said it had given me an emote, but there was like no icon or anything. So I have no idea what the fucking emote is. What the... Okay. New teaser for the final season of Stranger Things. Wait, Stranger Things isn't over yet? How is it not over yet? Listen, every season that they come out with that fucking show, they're always like, it's bigger and more epic than it was before. Is it? Honestly, I think the first season was great. And then I made it to like the second. Wait, which one's the one that Vecna shows up in? Is that the second or the third? Is it the second or third? Because I literally make it to the end of an episode where it's like, it basically pans out on the back of like where Vecna's like in a boathouse and he like comes down from the ceiling. And then that's pretty much it. That's like where it ends. That's where I kind of stopped watching it. The last season? Oh, okay, maybe it is. That character's super hot? Vecna? Are you saying the Vecna in Stranger Things is super hot? Okay. But that's last season, I believe. Okay, then I never finished the last season. I don't even know the exact number of how many seasons there are. Ain't got a clue. Not even a little bit. I love the first season. The second one kind of jumped the shark with a giant underground Soviet base inside the US. Was it inside? Or was it in Alaska? Was it in Alaska? Yeah, the person version before they were tentacleized? Oh, gotcha. Yeah. Wait, what is this? Do I need to... Coco, do I need to let you in? Is that what this is about? I don't know if y'all can hear the door thumping whenever she does it. Alaska, not Russian yet? True. But no, I was asking, was it in Alaska? I just can't remember where like the whole show takes place. Like, yeah, they killed a few people, whatever, I'd still smash. Are you admitting to something? Are you admitting to something right here, right now, Sunstar? Miss Ma'am? Miss Ma'am? Oh. A moiterer? A moiterer? What moiter? It's fine. It's fine. Don't worry about it. They were absolved. No. How would Snake respond to smoking a vape? Oh, good Lord. I don't think I even want to know. I don't think I even want to know. What murder? Listen, it's fine. Under her boot, probably. Tentacleized, like in some manga, or like BG3. BG3. Yeah, more like Baldur's Gate 3. Is definitely this case. But... Wait. Wait, what is this? Oh, is this the person's announcement that they got partner? I'm confused by reading this. Because it's Twitch, TD Witch Partner Program. What? I don't understand. So we need to movie night the stuff? True. Palm responded to my comments. Just said they wrote a paper on it it has to have some merit to it. Partner Twitch really isn't a poly relationship, huh? I mean, do you know how many partners they have? How many Twitch partners there are? I don't know how many Twitch partners there are in a number wise. But I know I'm at like 30,000 in terms of a ranking on Twitch, which means there has to be at least, there's at least less than 30,000, right? Can I look that? That's a Googleable number, isn't it right? How many Twitch partners are there? As of, this is 2022. 35,000. Oh, but yeah, there are those partners that get partner and then like either disappear or are like below partner numbers. Okay, 72,866 Twitch partners as of early 2025. Dang. That means like half of all Twitch partners likely have lower various stats. It could be a lot of things. It could be a lot of things from like followers to CCVs to anything like that. Below me. Huh. Twitch just out here slutting it up? Yeah. Ask Palm if this will be the Scum Science Sunday stream. No. No. I am not going to ask that question. You can go ask it on her page or under my comments on her page. Oh my goodness. All right, chats. What do we want to do? If Resident Evil's not going to work, we're already 2 hours and 20 minutes into stream. Disappointed Christians say God is delaying the rapture until Epstein files are released. After the rapture failed to happen on Tuesday, many Christians are blaming it on the fact Donald Trump hasn't released a trove of documents relating to Jeffrey Epstein. I 100%ed it in 2.5 hours of the obsession one. I'd consider, the thing is, I don't feel like doing a game that I hadn't like mentally prepared myself to play. We may play it next week. Actually, we probably will play it next week. I did make the claim that that today is going to be the last day of Resident Evil 1, no matter what. And I guess I got to stick to my guns on this one. And it's been what? This is the third day. It was the fourth day. This is the fourth day of being like last day of Resident Evil 1. Last day of Resident Evil 1. I guess at this point I have to stick to my guns on this one, chat. Today is in fact the last day of Resident Evil 1. We will never touch the game again because it decided it didn't want to work. To let the rapture happen is not what I was expecting to wander into. I'm sorry, Lone Wolf. But it's funny. At least it's funny. Listen, if that convinces them, honestly, if that convinces them, it'll be hilarious. Wait, what is this? Cato's post office. Oh, okay, I see. Game 2. The thing is, it doesn't even open anything. It just opens to a black screen. We tried changing some things. Maybe I could download that mod, but really, it really doesn't feel worth it. Okay. We're going for the new Marin Yap record. What was it? I think the longest Yap record I have is something like 5+ hours, isn't it? Sunstar would know. Sunstar would know. Wait. What? Wait, did they put the Dark Knights? No. As part of the Bale Armor Alpha Set bonus skill, you can activate the unique action, the Blackest Night. Is that a greatsword parry ranged attack from the Dark Knight in Final Fantasy XIV? That's crazy. Maybe I am going to become a greatsword main. Jesus. Yeah, huh? Jesus, dude. I only just started playing Greatsword like several weeks ago. 90% of jobs can be taught. Give people a freaking chance. Yeah. 90+% of jobs can literally just be, okay, you have the worth ethic to work here. Come in and we'll teach you the things you need to know. Greatsword mage. Oh, no. I'm trying to remember. Was there a game I used to play where they had something like that, where it was like a greatsword that you would be able to swing and it would send like ranged attacks, but I can't even remember what type of game it was. Oh my god. Is the way from hell the record won't even matter anymore? We'll just make new ones every week? Oh, Jesus. Is that what's going to happen? Is that what the plan currently is? Oh god. Dead by Daylight U2s. You ever wanted to know something was dying? Watch them get a U2. Either that or something that's desperate for attention. Watch them make U2s. Who wants a bootleg? What are they called? I almost called them pop sockets. That is not what those are. It was, damn it. Funko Pops. That's what I was thinking of. Who wants bootleg Funko Pops? That's what U2s are. Me over here burning every bridge I could possibly ever have to have a U2's figure, which honestly, I'm kind of okay with. I think I would rather sell like 3D printer scans for like super cheap. Like just get a 3D model that it can be printed on a 3D printer and painted for like $2 or some shit like that. Is probably what I would end up doing if we ever got the first one. The first one was Locke. Not U2's as in the band. But it's a Z instead of an S. We need more merch though. The thing is we don't like the merch isn't bought that often. Like since we've had merch with VT Horizons, I've only gotten a single payout from them because we've just decided that we're going to keep deferring it because it's only a single digit dollar payout. Well, they don't anymore. We were global shippers, but because of what the United States has done, they can't really ship internationally anymore from VT Horizon, that is. I'm pretty sure Ubu Market still ships internationally. You got the shirt? Is it the old shirts, the ones that I had on like fourth wall, or is it one of the new shirts from Ubu Markets? Because I have the hoodie and I wear the hoodie almost every day, even though it's the summer. Even though it's the summer. Buy merch on behalf of the mods. The thing is too, is all merch purchases and any payouts, including the stuff that I get back as commission from Gamer Subs. You can go to Gamer Subs, get your favorite flavor, use code Dark Carnival, and I get a kickback to that. And it usually goes a lot further than the kickback for like Ubu Market, sadly. Thing is, Ubu Market is also, I wish I could convince them to like lower the prices. If I just like took a hit. Where is my thing? I'm trying to go see. There we go. I wanted to go view it because the thing is I don't look at them that often anymore because there's hardly ever anything there. Okay. Yeah, total earnings on Ubu Market is $7.50. Although it is also currently failing to load products sold. We have a grand total of 2 products sold from Ubu Market. The thing is, though, is this stuff is good. I will stand by the fact that they are good. The annoying thing is they are slow, if that makes sense. I don't get gamer stuff. I don't get energy stuff in general, really, but man, that's totally fine. There's also tea and stuff. Or merch. They do have merch, and we do get kickback if you do decide to buy merch and use somebody else's code. But I think they also have a sale right now on Gamer Subs. Let me go check. Oh, wait, that's the wrong thing. Gamer Strips. All right, I am going to be honest about one thing, chat. If you do go to GamerSups and you buy something and you're thinking about buying something, I hope this doesn't get me in trouble. Don't bother getting gamer soups. The soups are not good. They are a worse cup noodle. It's good quality, but it's slow because they batch process and it's so expensive. Sally, yeah, that's exactly it. It takes a lot longer than you would expect for them to print the shirts, the hoodies, the whatevers. And then the shipping it is fast. Shipping it will get to you in like 3 days. It's waiting for them to say that they made it and they're about to ship it that takes like 3 weeks. Like, it took me a long time. Oh yeah, you can also use code merry-go-round at Epic Games. Are the snacks any good? Yes. Yes, they are. They have the bars, which, let me see, where are those on the menu? Stops? They gave me some of the bars when they had them, and they were really good. I went through those bitches. I went through those bitches so fast. Are they not available anymore? Maybe they just didn't do well enough and they discontinued them. I kind of think that's what they did. Yeah, it doesn't seem like... All right, hold on. I need to go let Coco in. I can hear her scratching the door. Why did you just go running down the hall? What? What are you so excited about? What is it, baby? Don't claw me. Don't claw me. I know. I know. Ow! Ow, Coco. Ow, wow, you got me good. Jesus. Coco, why are you so energetic right now? What's wrong? Ow. No. Okay. She clawed the shit out of me. Jesus. All right. It took a hot minute to send me the one shirt I ordered. Also, I'm taking off this heart rate monitor because we ended up not playing Resident Evil. But yeah, for some reason, she's all hyped up. And I let her in here and she just started like running around and flopping over. And when I went to pet her, she kept flailing her back legs and scratched my leg and my arm. Ow, Jesus. It's puffing up. Coco out for violence? Apparently. Okay. What are we doing? Where am I? Who are you people? Chill stream? Let's go. The chill stream. I mean, do we want to go look at products of places that I'm partnered with? I mean, we could. We could, but that doesn't sound like a good time. That doesn't sound like fun. I don't like doing shilling. I like doing them as like one quick pass. Also, hi 7-Eleven. Blows you up with pump. Inflation in my chats? On a Wednesday? Keck, don't you Keck W me? Did you get VIP for monthly donos on Ko-fi? Oh, you know, you get the VIP perks in the Discord. That's what you're thinking of. Oh, hold on, I need to put the there it is. Oh. There we go. There we go. Yeah. I'm hyped for Monster Hunter on Monday. Is they releasing? Oh, didn't somebody say that they announced that there's a new what is it? Monster Hunter Wilds is getting its first Elder Dragon? Is that it? It's getting its first Elder Dragon. That's what I said. Not many, so many platforms have VIP. True. And so VIP in here is tier 2 or tier 3. You get the benefits in Discord. And if you donate, I think I made it $10. I think if it's $10 or more to Ko-fi's like monthly subscription, which is the same cost as a tier 2 sub, you get the VIP privileges in Discord, which I wish I could give you more benefits, or hell, even make it worthwhile with like the previews of new stuff. The thing is, I haven't gotten any new stuff since the debut because I've been so broke. I was so upset. Like, I lose $70 because Sonic, no. 7-Eleven, stop. But then, where was I? I have gotten distracted. My brain has turned to pudding. Where am I? I'm confused. Let me see. Hold on. How many orders do we have? Last order from Gamer Subs was September 10th. 2 people ordered Gamer Subs on September 10th. That's kind of amazing. Hold on. What did you get? Can I see what you got? Oh my God, I can. Cherry Limesicle, caffeine free. Goof Juice, caffeine free. Acid Rain, caffeine free. Acid Rain's really good. I like Acid Rain. But Acid Rain is one of the ones that like I take before I go to the gym, and then I have to poop at the gym. Hi, Ana. Get him, Ana. Fuck him up. I mean, Carnival Minecraft server. Don't worry that it isn't just VIP only. Don't look over there. Do we need to also, Sunstar, do we need to sit down and like figure out a list of mods? Because if you're willing, we can turn it into like a horror Minecraft server. And I might be a little more likely to play it on stream at some points. Especially when we have more time in the day instead of like the limited window. I do keep saying, I mean, we haven't sat down or like started pitching ideas. Would you like me to just start finding like mods and stuff? I can go looking for mods and like start sending them to you and see what you think, and you can test like compatibility. I mean, you've been paying for a Minecraft server. You've been paying to host darkcarnival.gay. But listen, the darkcarnival.gay was your own prerogative. She's looking for mods? I'm not looking for mods. I'm not at all looking for mods. Because between Carrie and Sunstar, I don't need any extra mods. I'm sorry, what? Which part? Which part? Yeah, I have my website, which is barongaround.com. It also is redirected from darkcarnival.gay back to my website. Which again is hilarious. Minecraft mods? Oh, no. We're gonna it's Minecraft mods. We are looking for Minecraft mods. We're not looking for Twitch mods. You threaten me with mod? I do, because if we ever need another mod ordained, you will probably be that mod. Was my best idea yet coming up with my own is not as easy? I suppose so. That is fair. Have you seen Tyraminy? No, Sunstar, you can't be mod. I refuse to give you a sword, because then you're just going to say unhinged shit and be able to bypass the filter that I specifically put on you. Wait, Ordain isn't immune to modhood? No, because Ordain is here every day and shockingly, fairly responsible. You just said Sunstar? Which part? I said Sunstar will be modded? I meant Ordain. How horror are we talking mod-wise? Terrifying. I want like the whole map to be grim and foggy. I want some like the SCP mods. I want you to be afraid to go to bed at night. So when you were talking about 7-Eleven, oh, I'm sorry, Sunstar. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. No, 7-Eleven, you're not being modded because I'm not giving you the privilege to be able to skibbity all over my fucking face. Do you understand, boss man? Like how 7-Eleven passed Kono's mod test? I mean, 7-Eleven is actually apparently a very normal man. He tried. He fucking tried. All houses are backrooms Minecraft mods? No way. Is that a real mod? Where like all of the like spawns. Hi, Faye. That is such a good lurk emote. That is that Nightmare's lurk emote is so fucking good. Did you mention Radia played it? Is it the like all houses are back rooms, or is it like one of those ones where it just like randomly spawns you into the back rooms? Because I know there was one for like Lethal Company that would like sometimes randomly teleport you to the back rooms. It's all back rooms? What? That's crazy. Ordain, what are you doing over there? What are all those lurk emotes for? Wait, I like that. I like that lurk us, link us, lurk emote. That's cute. Are those? Why is that Dawn from Pokemon? Ordain, I'm gonna need you to post the Linkus mod emote. Show chat the Linkus mod emote. Do :mods, and it should be the mod with the swinging hammer that comes up. Also have to pick a version. All of this is on. Not a lot for the most recent version. It's currently running, so it's something. Oh. Yeah, that one. Look at that fucking psycho. Why is it Dawn? Liminal Industries is the backroom mods. Oh. Huh. We're coloning the mods. Well, no, doing colon and then typing thing basically works as like a search for specific emotes. That's such a crazy. Apparently it's supposed to be the mods. And it's the fucking bonk hammer for me. And the fact that she looks like she's losing it. But what? Goodness, why is it Dawn? Oh my god. Cat sitting very comfortably around campfire with its twins, spelling come. Oh my god. All right. Are you saying you were going to lurk, Ordain? Is that why you were posting all those lurk emotes? Nothing. Okay. Colon mod and the results aren't good. What are the results? What are the results, Penguin? Thing is, too, is I haven't modded Minecraft in over a decade. Over a decade was the last time I modded Minecraft. So one, I have no idea what websites use it. And two, I don't even remember how to set up mods in Minecraft anymore. I remember having to do it by like unpacking it using WinRAR, dragging it into the game files, realizing it doesn't work and having to uninstall Minecraft and completely reinstall it. Wait, what the hell? That is so old. The fuck? 10 years? What do you mean? I bought Minecraft in 2011. We have mod launchers? Yeah, I've heard there's mod launchers now. But I've never used them. Not even a little bit. Not even a little bit. Just use CurseForge? Oh, it's on CurseForge? I have CurseForge. I use it for WoW mods. Because I refuse to use fucking like WoW's like basic bag system. Number one mod you should always use add-ons for World of Warcraft. Bagnon. Get Bagnon, followed immediately by Scrapper. I need the scrap button. So help me God. If my dumbass can use it, anyone can? Oh. No. What do you mean, no? So disappointed they never made the Aether? The Aether? I swear I remember that mod. Aether. Was that like the Sky Realm? The like floating island realm or something? Oh, I can't remember. No? Sad thing is too, is I've always wanted to play like Cobblemon. I think that's what it's called. I know there's 2 different mods for like Pokemon Minecraft. I know there's Cobblemon and there's another one. One of them's newer and still being updated. One of them's older and has long since been abandoned. But I don't know which one's which, and I've never played them. Still disappointed to this day about implemented the Nether for Halloween. Oh geez, remember, that's what it was. It was Pixelmon. Pixelmon was the original one. The current one is Cobblemon. I'm pretty sure that's the case. No, Coco, I'm not letting you in. I will take you outside after stream. The thing is it poured down rain this morning and thunderstormed most of the morning. So the backyard is soaked and I can't put her out there. I have to wait until stream's over or until our commercial break, and then I could take her out to the side yard where there's less mud. I've bought Minecraft so many times. I've only got it twice. I had it once when it was completely standalone, and then I guess I like lost the account to the abyss or completely forgot my names. And then I bought it again. Stop clawing the door, dingus. My goodness. My goodness, that is my little psycho. Coco, stop. Go lay down. Wait. Oh, okay. UN launches global pledge for healthy indoor air at youth-led forum? What does that mean? What does this fucking mean? Oh. Global leaders, scientists, and advocates gathered at the United Nations in New York, September 23rd, 2025, for the Healthy Indoor Air, a global call to action event during the 80th General Assembly. Over 20 nations and organizations, including Bhutan, France, and Montenegro, signed a pledge committing to improve indoor air quality through ventilation, filtration, and UV technologies to combat airborne diseases, pollution-related deaths. Young advocate Violet Affleck highlighted the rising impact of long COVID on children, now surpassing asthma as the most common chronic illness, and demanded clean air as a fundamental human right. Commitments from signatories target enhancements in schools, hospitals, and workplaces to address the health crisis affecting millions annually. Damn, we really will do anything other than shut down the factories and shit that are causing the pollution and lung problems. Crazy. Oh, and there's a bunch of asshats that are over here saying, "You'll never get me to wear a mask again." Simlish sentence. Simlish. We up mining the crafts? Who up mining at night? Nope. I'm playing Minecraft. Anyway, mincing your raft in the rain to lock up the ducks for the night. Aw. How did we get here? Because factories make money. Duh. Duh. See, I couldn't run a country, but I could do better. Yeah. Yeah. Or why not do any sort of like pollution traps to the factories? We will do anything except let nature and like actually put efforts into stop our own pollution. Fucking the companies that cause all the pollution that are causing these lung damages, these lung issues, are free to get away with whatever they want. And instead, everybody else has to adapt to them. That's insane. As a result, the prices of bottled clean air stocks jumped 25%. If I someday I discover that somebody is commodifying and selling quote unquote filtered air, like it's that like fucking NOS gas or whatever that people were huffing on like a year ago, I think I'm gonna lose it. I think I'm gonna lose it. Sometimes I wish I had money so I could like be, yeah, I'm not going to say the next thing. I'm not going to say the next thing. Like in the Lorax? Was that in the Lorax? I've never seen the entire Lorax movie. I have only listened to like some of the songs. That's just the plot of the Lorax movie? Yeah. Yeah. I'm not sure, but we're doing something about solar here. I haven't been paying attention though. I just like free money. Spaceballs, the air canisters. They've already done that? Shut up! No, you're lying to me! The vision of the villain of the Lorax sells air. I knew that. No trees, no air. It means we get to bottle it and sell it back to the masses. Excellent. It's the perfect money trap. Screams at fucking, what is it? Nestle and their water? Or Coca-Cola and their water? Or Pepsi and their fucking water? Hate it. I hate it so much. Welcome to late stage capitalism, kids. The option is die or revolution. Shrivel up and die over a slow amount of time, or burn it all down and start over. Do you want an air subscription with your apartments? In order to have a filtered air conditioner, it is going to cost an additional $300 per month. Are you prepared to spend $2,700 per month for your one-bedroom apartment? The new tax, air tax for every breath you take, pay $2.99. That sounds like that fucking, what was it? Was it EA? Was EA the company that tried to make it so that like they would have to pay per like cartridge that they shot in a game or some shit? Wasn't there like some executive who wanted that? And like, I'm pretty sure it was EA. We already do it in Canada? What? Run that by me again, Zach. Run that by me again. What do you mean? What do you mean? Conserve air between us, not just because kissing? Oh my god. Just in case, FBI Director Patel releases photos of unspent cartridges from Dallas ICE shooting engraved with anti-ice. That's pinned. That is not engraved, head ass. Just sprinkle some messages on the cases and let's get out of here. Oh my god. The anti-ice bullets from the anti-ice shooting that no ICE officers were shot in? My goodness. Paid $2,700 for one. Yeah, that's what I was saying. When I was in Maine, downtown apartments for a studio was $2,200. No utilities, no monthly parking. And it sucked ass. It sucked absolute ass. Because it'd be like 600 square foot studio apartment. And it's like wedge shaped for some reason. Because that's the way they decided to divide the fucking room. The front door, you go in the front door and then it just spreads out in like a fucking triangle. $2,400 a month, not counting utilities. Imagine how much heat's gonna be because the entire front side of your apartment is the giant glass fucking window. Like, told you so? Yep. No ICE officers shot. Sad day. So, Prosty, if you don't know what happened, this morning, before 9 a.m., a white man took position on top of a building and fired shots at the ICE building across the street, seemingly not with the intent to hit ICE officers, instead killing 2 detainees and seriously injuring another before checking out himself. It's insane. It's insane. Oh yes, the anti-ice bullets from the anti-ice shooting. Fuck off. Fuck off completely. They were roommates. Look at how great of friends they were. Make sure they had enough air by sharing between. Oh my god. Good fucking lord. All right. Oh. What? Oh, I see. Okay, I see. Oh, that's Indy talking lore. More lore! A building made of ice? No. In Texas? Are you kidding me? They found a kidney for my dad. Make some noise. And then somebody fucking posted the cake tin. Y'all know the one, right? The plastic cake tin. The one that you open and it just goes. Sprinkle some cocaine on the billionaire and let's go. Okay. Okay. Okay, do I even want to know why America First is trending? I almost certainly don't, but I'm still gonna look because apparently I'm a fucking masochist. US announces it will do whatever is necessary to support Argentina? US Treasury Chief Secretary hints at Argentina financial rescue? What? What? Okay, I know we have some people from Argentina. Is there anybody or from any other neighboring country in South America? Can y'all explain what's going on? We used to have some folks that I know are from Argentina. Wait. Wait. U.S. offers financial lifeline to Argentina's Javier Milei. Proposed support package during market volatility. Did their stock market crash? Hold on, I'm going to do the most important thing. Argentina natural resource map. Vegetation and natural resources. Report done by the Stanford University. Oh God, I need a full screen of this. Hold on. Prairie grasses for grazing, prairie for crops, rainforest, scrub forest, semi-arid vegetation, sparsely vegetated desert and semi-desert, specialized agriculture. Natural resources include lead, zinc, tin, silver, copper, manganese, tungsten, beryllium, coal, asphaltite, and oil fields, including various construction like marble, limestone, sand, gypsum. The US is going to bail them out and take their resources. I guarantee you. I guarantee you. The US is going to give them the most rotten deal you've seen. And they are going to lay claim, American corporations are going to lay claim to Argentina's natural resources and suck them out of Argentina to quote unquote save their economy, which I guarantee you history is going to repeat itself on this one, is going to leave Argentina worse off than it was before. Trash fire for decades, even that they thought electing a libertarian would be a good idea. Doesn't include whatever help the World Bank may end up trying to give them. So we're sucking off Argentina? Probably. It's also kind of crazy considering farmers are having to resort to selling their farms because due to the tariffs, countries are no longer buying like soybean stock and stuff from America. Fun fact, China used to buy a massive chunk of its soybeans from the United States. More than 50% of the soybeans grown in the United States were sold to China, and now China doesn't want them because now, if I remember correctly, they're buying them from Brazil, I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure they're buying soybeans from Brazil now. What the hell is this? Is this person pitching fucking Marjorie Taylor Greene as part of presidential ticket for 2028? Huh? Just Jesus, dude. Through a bout of severe market volatility. Okay, yeah. Oh, hey, Annie's got a comment on this. I totally missed this before. You see, socialist policies don't work. Argentina proved that the free market and decimating public institutions is the only way to save the economy. That's why the U.S. needs to bail Malay out. It's not socialism or violating America first. It's called an investment, libtards. That's what he said. That's what he said, okay? Sure. Fucking sure. Whatever. Ugh. Yeah, that seems to be what most of the America First trending page is it's on. Jesus, that's a corpse. Oh my God. Who got that picture? It's apparently somebody got a picture of the shooter from this morning after he checked himself out. I'm on Twitter. Authorities officially identified 29-year-old Joshua John as a suspect in violent shooting at the Immigration and Customs Enforcement facility in Dallas. And this man posted an ID picture of the dude and then a picture of his corpse. With the Dallas Police Department launching a thorough investigation into John's background and motives, graphic images circulating on social media credited to Channel News depict the aftermath, showing John's body at the scene. Department of Homeland Security has pledged to enhance security measures at federal facilities in response to this incident. Okay, I wasn't ready to see half a man's face removed. In scrolling this, especially considering most of these are about Argentina. Wait, what? Okay, this is just nonsense. The rest of this is just nonsense. Put that away so I don't have to keep looking at it. Twitter users are deranged. Yes. Just on par for Twitter. I don't see it on like posts that aren't like typically very much like expectant, half expectant, I suppose. Oh, I put it away. It is not viewable within my eyesight anymore. Instead, now I'm looking at boobs and butts. Because for some reason, a bunch of artists or somebody retweeted a boobs and butts. Nice. Nice. I'm not looking at it. I put it away. We are not on that topic anymore. Oh my goodness. On Twitter these days, since Muskrat canned most of the staff. Yep. Oh. I'm a smooch? No. Not allowed. Jesus Christ, what are we doing, man? Revolution? Maybe? Maybe? Possibly? I don't know. It may not. Maybe some sort of a possibility. Possibility. Who knows? Who really knows? You know how we watched the Ananta trailer just earlier, right? Right? I already have somebody who retweeted some other artist who has already drawn Laffy, the little bunny-eared girl from that trailer, with massive tits. Record breaking there, sir. Record breaking. Sweet. Listen, the things you gotta do, okay? Booba. Listen, it's fine. It's fine. Oh, Coco's back pushing on the door. Why are you like this? I have such a goofball of a dog, dude. I love her, but god damn it, does she like... Is she hard to understand? The boob pipeline is powerful. Listen, you follow one artist that is like that, and then you're always surprised by how many other artists are willing to repost. It's also weird too, because sometimes artists will just be like, well, it's that time of the week. Time to repost all of my art for the past 6 months. So then I'm like scrolling on my like following page, and there's just so much old art. The archive? Is this supposed to be archive? Is that what it's supposed to be? Art hive? Oh, gotcha. Art hive. Need to max Scrungle the Ordain? All right, everybody start shaking Ordain. Get out your Ordain shakes. Get the boy. He deserves it. He deserves it. Quite a bit. Quite a bit, even. Wouldn't you say? You can't run, you fool. Oh, interesting. Put me down. I did nothing. No, shake him harder. Shake him harder. Like a game of hot potato. Do you shake? I'm confused. Do you shake the potatoes when you play hot potato? That doesn't sound right. Okay. What is the spooky? Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Gimme. Grabby hands, grabby hands. All right. Speaking of which, I have not crossed my arms today to diligently yell at chat. Oh boy. Since? All right, let's see. What have you sent me, bucko? Is that a zombie bear? A burr. It's a burr. Oh my goodness. Baron's gonna yell at chat again? Alright, Sensor, tell me, do y'all deserve to be yelled at? Do y'all deserve to be yelled at? Yay or nay? Thank you for self-care. I still have some water left. Loose basically on the bear from Annihilation. I can see it. I can see that. We deserve to be yelled at. Thank you, Vaporiz. For what reason, may I ask? Because y'all are absolute hooligans. Absolute hooligans. Wait, what is this? Twitch is launching a new moderation analytics dashboard. Wait, what do you mean moderation analytics? Bulk report banned users? Huh. 20 viewers experienced a mod action during the stream. 3 users were banned during the stream. Messages deleted, warnings sent out, timed out moments, and banned. Huh. Interesting. The thing is, like, I see some of these streams where they're always like, yeah, I have multiple bans to stream. I have multiple timeouts to stream. So, sir, how many of those do we have per stream? What do you think our entire average over the course of time is for bans, for timeouts, for like legitimate ones? I'm talking about legitimate ones. Yeah, probably fractional. It's probably fractional. I'm talking like points, 0 point something. Like it's less than 1 per stream. Meaning we only get like 1 ban. God. Probably multiple weeks. We probably go multiple weeks without having to ban someone. I'm pretty sure. Not counting. Actually, I suppose we'll count like The very rare and occasional bot accounts. Yeah, last legit ban was like months ago. That wasn't just the bot accounts from like, what was it, 2 days ago? Also, I think the ad break is starting, isn't it? God damn. God damn, that was fast. What is up with today feeling like it's flying by? Let me get the screen up for y'all. Screen! And then, Gartham. Hey! All right. Enjoy your iPad time, chat. I'm not going anywhere, though. Yeah, that was also like the first bot in months. And I know people, I have friends that still complain that they're like, what is it? I'm always like, yeah, I keep getting bots these last couple streams. I'm like, you do? I get them once and then they're gone because we fucking ban their terms. Or like their websites. So I'm actually curious how many bots still try to swing into stream to join. I'm very curious. Why are you stealing my knives? Why? What did I do to deserve this? Huh? Huh?
Step inside, step inside.
Beach Aurelia, thank you for the follow. Welcome in. How are you doing? Do we need to make a video at this point, Sunstar? Do we need to make a tutorial video for like all fucking streamers? Just to be like, are you tired of these bots coming in with every stream? Why don't you try banning their website name? Try the fucking bot banning their website name and they'll stop being able to come in. Occurrences in the ban terms. So how many times they've caught a message since they've been added. I'm very curious. It would be very interesting if like we could see the statistics of like those attempted messages. Ho! That was correct. I'm sorry that got caught. That's annoying. What the fuck is that? Pinch? Okay, there you go. Somebody got it before I could even type it in. Anyway. Let me see. Wow, so many VTubers are getting... What is it? Getting plushies. What the hell is going on? Is it because of Makeshift just making it so that anyone can like add a plushie and you basically just fundraise it? Okay. Baron go plush. We're nowhere near big enough to consider doing a plush. I'm sorry, chat. That is just the case. We don't have the near size or devotion per stream for me to consider putting a plush up, getting a plush designed, having it like probably made to at least a test dummy, and then putting it up and asking y'all to devote to it. I would love to have a plushie. The thing is I don't think my heart could take it if we did it. We spent 2 months trying to essentially get people to buy enough that they could be made. Exactly, Peach. Exactly. It's also why I haven't like done a docky or anything, because the art's expensive. To get a good quality docky and to get good quality art is pricey. It's pretty expensive. What the heck? Okay. Docky, but I can't hear it without saying Google Docky. God damn it, Treen. No! Not allowed. But no, a docky, the pillow. We'll just say a pillow. Y'all make the jokes all the time that y'all want one. The thing is, though, is it's more often proven to be the opposite. when it comes to those kinds of products. All right, welcome back from the commercial break, y'all. Let me go ahead and put this away. And we can go back to the full chat page. There we go. There we go. What I need to do is I need to make these macros so that I can just hit one button instead of having to jump between pages. Vocal? Is that supposed to be vocal versus actual? That's exactly what it is. I would absolutely love to be able to give y'all more merch ideas. The thing is, right now we have glassware on VT Horizon. We have tons of stickers, pins, all of my keychains that I keep right here next to me that are all of the ones that are available. I have partnerships with GamerSups that are now currently available essentially globally, as far as to my knowledge, still globally, especially because they just launched in the EU and Australia. But it's right now I can't warrant, after doing what all we've done with VT Horizon. What the hell? Oh, okay. There's no I? What do you mean? Vocal? Vocal? It's vocal. Is the word you're looking for vocal? There's no I in vocal. Yeah, there's no I in vocal. There you go. There you go. Because that way it looks like it's social, except with the V. Oh my god, VTuber social. It's now vocal. I hate it. I hate it. Hi, Thorns. Oh my goodness. My neck's starting to hurt for some reason. Hold on. Ugh. Roll the neck. Ooh. All right. Baron Boschel. Oh my god. No. Absolutely not. But yeah, when it comes to merch, is I want to get y'all quality stuff and like good art, good designs. Hold on a second, chat. I need to go check something. I smell something, and I hope to God Coco didn't shit on the floor. Maybe that's what she was so excited about, trying to get me to take her outside. That was exactly what it was. All right, chat. I'm going to give you the games. Give me a moment. I need to go clean up poop. So I will be back in a couple minutes. Good luck, kids. Okay, y'all. Oh, shit. I unplugged my headphones. Whoops. There we go. There we go. All right. I'm sorry that took so long. It was a doozy. It was a lot of shit, and some of it, like half of it was, let's call it wet. Let's call it wet. I should have known that when she was jumping around all excited and clawing me, she needed to go out. But I was like, I don't have time to take you out, Coco. Can you wait? Blah, 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 blah. She shit in the dining room. She shit in the dining room, which is typically where she shits, if she shits inside. I was lucky. I had an old bottle of Febreze Pine, sitting around. I'm turning the music down. I'm turning it down. Too addicted to streams. I didn't want to have to throw my shoes on and leave y'all. I was honestly hoping we'd make it to the next commercial break and then I could just take her out. We didn't. We didn't. Oh my goodness. Are y'all still here? Is everybody still here? No, we lost so many. We lost so many brave little soldiers. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm sorry. Lost the poor race. Oh no. Oh no. All right. Oh, the poop race. Gotcha. Yep. I should have known by how like stringently she was banging on the door that it wasn't just she wanted to be let in. Again, though, it's how muddy she gets though is crazy. Okay. Let me in. The thing is, she didn't want to be let in. She wanted me to follow her and let her out. And I couldn't do that. One, granted, now I was basically forced to. And I did kick her outside. She's now in the backyard and she's going to be muddy. But at least I can clean her up after stream. I usually just break out a towel and we go wipe her feet down. Definitely. Oh no, not the palm throne. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I was lucky we had paper towels. And I just scrubbed the ever-loving shit out of my own hands. So, you know, the shit we do. The shit we do. Still love that dog. Still love that dog. Honestly, she did everything right. I was just a bad person. She did everything right trying to tell me that she needed to go out. And I didn't listen. It's my own fucking fault. There to let Coco out. Yeah, no longer will I be questioning her hyperactivity. She needs to poop. All right, let's put the Gardic phone away and swap back over. Yeah. Oh man, that sucks. That sucks. And it's probably gonna smell for a while. I tried to see if I could find the lighter so that I could like light some candles for some prolonged like scent stuff. No, I couldn't. I could not find any. I could not find any at all. Boop. No more iPad. No more iPad for right now. I mean, y'all did just get what, 10 plus minutes of it? I don't know. I have no idea how long I was, I have no idea how long it took me to clean that up. I did not look at the time when I left, and I only just looked at it when I got back. So, you know, as it were. As it were. All right, chat. What was I talking about before I fucking smelled shit? Before I smelled the dookie. If as it were. As it were. I don't even remember. I don't even remember what the topic was. I was too focused trying not to touch shit with my hands. I failed. For those of you who need to ask. Coco's Coco, if you will. No! Oh yeah, we were talking about merch, but I don't know. Do we want to keep talking about merch? Because I think I've covered most of it. The hardest part about getting new merch is basically we have merch, and it seems comparatively uninteresting is the case. In just the current merch hasn't done well, so multiplying the current merch with new merch, I feel is a little backwards. A little backwards. But that's it. That's all when it comes to considering new merch. What new merch? We have Uwu Market merch that we have a total of 2 sales on. One of them is me. I bought my own hoodie and crew neck, and then somebody else bought a t-shirt. VT Horizon, to my knowledge right now, unless somebody has bought something in the last couple weeks, my payout for the last, I think like 2 quarters has been, I think, $15. So we've just carried it over tax-wise. Because the original plan with VT Horizon, when we talked about the thing, it was supposed to be paid out quarterly. But I've only had a single payout since we've had VT Horizon because the other times have been so small that there's no points. If it was the poster, I'd be more interested, but closer specific. True. Which, hold on a second. Hold on a second. Wait, why is the suggestion that comes up Marin go round tint? Who's asking for a tint? Very funny. Wait, that's crazy. The like recommended ones that like aren't my stuff, which is like the hoodies, the tags, the stuff, are people I know. Azura's here. Fucking Izanami Kamiko's here. She was one of the first people I ever collabed with. I get something about I'm poor. Yeah, I know, relatable, isn't it? Relatable. Otherwise, I'd probably honestly get my own sweatpants. Yeah, they're a little expensive. The thing is, though, is they're really good quality. Like I said, I wear the hoodie nearly every day, and I have seen no wear on it. No wear and tear. None of like the art or anything is coming off. If only I had money. Yeah, money is tight globally too, so I can't blame like that or anything. It's just one of those things. It's like it's expensive. I understand not buying Uwu Market. And then VG Horizon is mostly like novelties, if that makes sense. Although technically they did get a shirt press. So if we wanted to, we could see if we could get cheaper t-shirts at VT Horizon. And again, also unfortunately for now, it's VT Horizon is American only. Which I think it's United States only. It's not even North America only. Specifically the United States because of how bad the tariffs have screwed shipping costs. If only I had money, stuff actually looks dope. Well, thank you. I planned pretty closely with the artists from there, and they did an amazing job. Hold on, I found a thing I need to send to Faye. Okay. Flesh brides. Anyway, you should Horizons your VT. Yes. Yes, you should. Y'all are on top of the commands for the mention of Faye. Y'all are getting fast with those. What the fuck? Grins, you got your own white man jump scare emotes. White man jump scare. Ah! Lines the cups apart from the texture because hand things, but otherwise 10 out of 10. Your mother lines the cups? Likes the cups. Okay. Okay, I was confused. That's my own fault. Wait. Twitch is launching Stream Rewind on web soon for Turbo and channel member subscribers. Mobile support will be available as later. What is this? You will need to have Vods enabled for it to work. As such, it will not be available for DJs or channels with Vods disabled. Does that mean they're going to add like a bar at the bottom of stream? Like how like YouTube does streams where you can, it's like, there's like the live section and you can rewind it back a little bit. I had a fourth wall at one point. The thing is, to do a fourth wall is I have to get more art. I would have to get more art or take the art that I currently have and use it and pay them for commercial rights to use it. Because if I don't pay for the commercial rights, then that artist can come and sue me. Unfortunately, when it comes to companies or artists that you buy art from, there is typically a surcharge. And I wish I was joking. I found an artist I absolutely love that did amazing art. And I was like, okay, I could invest the $400 for this artist. They look awesome. They would be perfect for like posters and stuff. And I contacted them and I was like, okay, I want to use this for merch at some point, probably in the future. And it took the $400 charge to $2,000 because this particular artist counted originally basic commercial rights, which was already 100% increase, was if I use it on stream ever, it counts as commercial to them. Not if I'm selling stuff with it. No. That's mercantile rights to this person. Commercial was if I was like, oh, I'm going to get it animated and maybe I'll put it on stream. And then she was like, oh, that's commercial. It's going to be double. And then I was like, okay, what if it's for merch? She's like, oh, it's double. And I was like, okay. And then when I told her like the idea I had, she was like, oh, that's going to be extra details. So the total's going to be like $2,000. I was like, fuck off. I didn't tell her that, but I was like, I can't afford that. I can't afford that. Thank you for your time. Maybe I'll come back later. I was like, why? And listen, usually commercial rights could be a flat amount. Some artists will be like, yeah, commercial rights are an extra $100. A lot of the times it's places that'll be like, it's $100 plus upcharge. So like if the regular art is say $200, then the commercial cost is $200, so it'll be $400 total. Oh, God damn it. Hi, Hyper.
Making a mother of all omelets here, Jack. Can't thread over every egg.
The most I have ever seen for a commercial upcharge, or a merch upcharge, basically, was 250%. Somebody was selling their art for a normal cost, and commercial rights were an additional 250%. Granted, honestly, I don't think I've ever made my money back on the commercial rights that I've bought for art. Not once, I'm pretty sure. I'm just thinking. For the ones that I've actually bought the commercial rights to that weren't made by artists that were already teamed with the merch companies, I've never made my money back on. I.e. like the Wiggle Baby keychains. I think I've spent more money on the Wiggle Baby keychains sending them to other people than I had anybody buying the keychains. And again, I still have like the stack of 4 here. Yeah, I have, no, 5. No, these are 4. This is 4. I have the 5th one in the car. Which reminds me, Fairbanks, next time we hang out, I need to give you that one. I need to give you that one because y'all gave me those bird pins. They're not buyable anymore, but that's because I want to get 2.0s out there. Which again, I have to pay commercial rights for to the person who made it. She'll also only give you the merch grade, like PNGs and stuff, of the Wiggle Babies once you've paid commercial rights. From what I'm understanding is I need to buy for keychains and stuff. Huh? But actually, Sunstar, you may be right. Maybe they weren't buyable. Oh, no, I had them on t-shirts and stuff, which... Oh, no, I'm not wearing them. I almost actually wore that shirt today. It was literally on top of my stack of t-shirts when I would, like, open my drawer after a shower, and I was like, But no, I'm wearing... I'm starting to wonder if I need to throw out my Roll20 t-shirts. Because I have 2 Roll20 Pride t-shirts. And I don't much care for Roll20, not Roll20. I don't much care for Critical Role anymore. Asparagus fact today in the 16th century, King Louis the 14th of France. My brain was like short-circuiting on the Roman numerals. Special greenhouse built to grow asparagus year-round, earning it the name the food of kings. The thing is, like, now, like, these are all 1.0 wiggle babies. These crumbly sounds that you hear. I think what I'm going to do with these is they are going to be given out at whatever my, like, next convention is. If I ever get to go. If I ever go to a convention again. I mean, I wasn't to help support the stream. I like the merch Baron has out there, but could also probably do the Ko-fi to help more. True. Ko-fi is always available if you wish to support, but it is not an expectation. Also, I still like the running joke of having the glucose guardian on throne. Every time I see it, I kind of just snicker to myself. That bitch is never going to be paid, but it's funny to have it there. Hello, random wandering millionaire who happens to like me. I don't suppose I can entice you into a monetary gift, if you will. A monetary donation. I mean, if that was ever paid, that would be like all of the summer fit paid for. The hell? All of the summer fit paid for. A Switch 2, all of those games, and the Move funded. Because I think the grand cost for the summer outfit for 2.0 will probably be... maybe half, probably just over half of that. It depends. Ren may end up charging me a whole bunch for rigging the summer outfit. Because I'm pretty sure he undercut me for his regular charges for this model. So I could get 4 whole Wiggle Baby keychains. Oh yeah, nice keychain. Totally don't have 3 already. Could I have one? You have the... I sent you packages of 3 because that was the lowest count I could order. And it was literally cheaper to fucking... what was it? Pay the... oh goodness. Pay the manufacturer to send pre-made ones to you rather than trying to send you the single ones that I have. It was insane. Wait. Pokemon Company issues a statement over Homeland Security's Pokemon-themed ice video. We are aware of a recent video posted by the Department of Homeland Security that includes imagery and language associated with our brand. Our company was not involved in the creation or distribution of this company, and permission was not granted for the use of intellectual property. I don't care if you win. I want to see Homeland Security get sued. Fantastic. Thing is, though, is it doesn't seem like there's any definition or definitive idea of what they are going to do. No, I would only give 1 to each person. 1 to each person that probably found me first at a con. More than, actually, it'd probably be at a meet and greet. I would probably do it at a meet and greet. Yeah, I think that's what it would be. If I ever got to do I would be at the convention, but I would probably be doing a virtual meet and greet. If they went after Power World, did they need to go after Homeland Security? Yes. Again, I don't like Power World. What the fuck? This December, the giant halberd dragon, Gogmasios, I've never seen this monster, emerges with free title update 4. Prepare yourself for a hunt unlike any other. What the fuck am I looking at? I can't even tell where this thing's mouth is. Okay, hold on. I need to Google, because apparently he's coming back. Right? What does he look like normally? Damn! Wait, why the fuck is he called a halberd? It looks like he spits fire. I'm putting it on my Christmas list? Wait, which part? What are you putting on your Christmas list? Ailments tarred. Sorry, I am all over the place today, especially after Coco pooped and I just had to clean that shit up, literally. I still kind of smell it. I hate it. I hate it. Suing Homeland Security? Yes, good. Excellent. Excellent. The thing is, I bet the government is just going to go, nuh-uh, you can't sue Homeland Security. Or like a company can't sue Homeland Security. Which just means that they're going to be able to get away with whatever the fuck they want. Suing Homelander. Shut up. Oh my God. Not the fucking suing Homelander. Okay. Wait. Wait, what is this? Oh, Disney Plus is raising all of their subscription costs. Why? Who fucking knows? Hi, Tootsie. Hope stream's been well. No, Coco took a shit on the floor and I had to go clean it up. The thing is, I still kind of smell it, so I hope I'm not gonna have to go look around the house to see if she dribbled somewhere. Because if so, I think I'm gonna go jump off the roof. I think that's what I'm gonna go do. I think that's a perfectly reasonable response. Nails? What do you mean nails? Mr. Krabs. Anyway. Yeah, I had to spend like 10, 15 minutes cleaning up shit. Literally shit. Oh. Oh my. Disgusting! Yeah, it was exceptionally disgusting. Chat did get the iPad, but it wasn't enough for some, and that happens. That happens. The thing is, we've basically just been kind of chilling and yapping the day away. Because we were supposed to play Resident Evil, but it decided that it was just going to black screen the entire time. Just was like, nah. Nah. And we tried a bunch of things. We tried like the full screen compatibility. We tried a bunch of other stuff. I may have to suck it up and make a fucking Nexus mod to download the fix black screen mod. That's apparently over there that Tween sent me. Tween. Hold on. Okay, it's not my hands. I was afraid I was smelling my hands because I scrubbed my fucking hands. I also scrubbed my knees because I was afraid that I was crawling around on my knees and Coco had spread it out over a decent distance. So I had to kind of crawl around. Sorry, work took most of my iPad time up. Not the iPad time. Yeah, it's also, I like ran around with Febreze. Like a can of pine Febreze that I've had for fucking ever. And it got the job done for at least a little bit. But it's like one of those things where like after your dog shits in the house and you smell it for the like next several hours. I'm still probably gonna walk out there. It's gonna smell like absolute hell. Ugh, then I'm gonna have to go clean Coco's toes because she's probably gotten all muddy. Please don't need a bath. Please don't be muddy enough to need a bath. Please, I'm begging you. I'm begging you, Coco. Just thinking to myself about what that's going to be like. All right. God, my lips are so chapped, dude. Fairbanks is giving me permission to use the poster for merch. Good work. You have ideas. I have ideas. Hey, yo, Fairbanks merch poster? Holy commercial rights, Batman. I need more things on my walls. Actually, wait. What is the size of that? Now, you sent me another photo file. Is this one bigger than the other one that I have? I wonder. Hold on a second.
Look at you.
Hello? Soul Assassin, thank you for the follow. Welcome in. Where are you? There it is. Hover. 34, Jesus, 3480 by 4950. I think that's big enough. I think that's big enough for posters. I don't know. I don't know the required size for posters. We'll see. It usually depends on the websites where you start producing the stuff, and they'll usually tell you, they'll be like, it doesn't have a high enough resolution. It may come out blurry if you have it like that. Go around Tapestry. Let's go. Oh, you mean like the scrolls that they sell at like anime conventions? Those are kind of neat, and I feel like they're a little more... What's the word? Damn it, I can't remember the word. Not rigid. Rigid's not the word. Durable? I think they're a little more durable than like a regular poster. Pretty sure. Not 100% on that, but I'm pretty sure. I wonder. All right. Chats, we did nothing today. This was just absolute shenanigans until Coco shit on the floor. Until Coco shit on the floor. So, we're coming up on the 4-hour mark. And I think we're just going to wrap earlier because I need 1, to go to the library. 2, I now need to go figure out a way to get the poop smell out of my house. So help me God. We were productive, were we? Were we? Who can we raid? Collabs. Can't raid that person because I'm banned. Lord of the Rings Return to Moria. Moria, there we go. Yeah, I wouldn't worry about it. But... Okay, hold on. We're going to see if I can find somebody else because fucking Twitch changed the sidebar of like followed channels and they added in the suggested collab section and that's a repeat. It just repeats a bunch of the same channels. And I hate it. I hate it. Who can I throw you at? Like a dodgeball on the winds. No. Chumba. Salty's doing... Is Salty watching a game show? I mean, like, showing off new games, like, type show. SH... Short message? I think we're just gonna end up reading Anna today. Anatrocious. I'm pretty sure that is going to be the plan. Yeah, I think we're just gonna rate Anna today. Oh no, Fatty McDank. Oh no. There's a V. Okay, for those of you who don't know, there's a VTuber named Fatty McTank. He's hilarious. But his PNG right now is the dude, the neighbor from like Aqua Team Hunger Force, who would ban the Baus. Nah, don't worry about it. Yeah, one of the old buds. He's the neighbor, but he's green. He is playing Silent Hill F. Carl, yes, Carl. But wow, there's so many people playing Silent Hill. But no, we're gonna go with Anna. We'll go with Anna just so that I don't continues to overthink it and feel bad about not rating other people. All right, we're gonna do Coco pooped on the floor raid. We're gonna do the dead emote. Coco pooped on the floor. If you have a tired emote, if you have somebody else's dead emote, that is totally fine. If you don't have mine, I will see you guys tomorrow. We are going to be playing... Oh shit, I have forgotten. What are we playing tomorrow? Me forgetting my own fucking schedule. Banishers! Yeah, we'll see how tomorrow with Banishers go, and we'll see if we're gonna continue playing Banishers on stream. And the crying one works too. That's actually perfect, Grins. But until then, guys, I will see you tomorrow. Stay out of trouble. Have fun and have a good night. I'm going to the fucking library, baby. I need some books. Later.